Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Lemley. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast. Erik, thank you for this opportunity. You come from...
Thank you.
The thing that caught my attention on your bio was the 25 years in video FX you've worked on. I mean, actually, I even wrote a list of the movies that I thought was that most people would be familiar with. So Fast and Furious, Django, if I'm saying that right, Life of Pi, The Bourne Legacy, The Hunger Games, X-Men First Class, X2, The Mummy, Incredible Hulk, Night of the Museum, Superman Returns, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Longest Yards, The Chronicles of Riddick, The Lord of the Rings, Elf, Star Trek, The Experience.
Wait, so no bullshit. Erik was actually working in Hollywood.
Is that how you would...
Not exactly Hollywood.
Erik Akutagawa, if we look at IMDb, are we going to find these credits?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's legit.
Yeah, they're all on there. And actually, there's a lot of them that didn't even make it on there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know who updates that. They just show up.
Yeah, it's the same way with my real estate sales. There's a couple that I can't get to show up on, like, because on Zillow, there's this fun map of all the places I've bought and sold houses in Vegas.
Well, as long as your commission shows up, I think you're good.
Yes. As long as happy clients arrive, I'm happy.
So when Emmett asked you if you're actually legitimately working in Hollywood, your answer was kind of a fuzzy no.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, because most people think of Hollywood as just the glamour and glitzy, that's where we make movies. But Hollywood is actually kind of a dirty, dungy place. And I guess it represents Los Angeles, right? So Culver City, we have Sony Studios. It's not Los Angeles, or it's not Hollywood. But they have sound stages, or Fox Studios is in Century City. They have sound stages.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff up in Burbank.
Yes, exactly. Warner Brothers is up there.
Yeah, well, we mean Hollywood the business, not Hollywood the street.
I suppose so, yeah.
Where Guns N' Roses grew up.
Yeah, definitely worked a lot in film. A few, as you said, a few theme park rides, video games, commercials.
So what did you do? Are you doing digital special effects, or what work were you?
So we did the visual effects work for all of those. So Life of Pi was a good example, right? We won an Oscar for that. The tiger was interspersed between a real tiger, and obviously you can't have a real tiger with the actor
in a boat.
So if you in the boat, exactly,
and the actor stabbing the tiger too.
Yeah. So it was shot on a huge tub with a blue screen out on the set, I think at Paramount or Universal, one of those. And you had the actor with a stuffed animal, tiger, as they're shooting this in this tub. And then we would have to digitally take out the tiger and then put in a CG tiger. So for me, I managed what we called the Digital Image Resources Department. So we had basically everything that came in the studio would come through us. So when we first found out about the project, we need live action tigers. We need live action flying fish.
Quick, draw some tigers.
Yeah, we would send photographers to shoot reference at LA Zoo. Or we had somebody who had the actual fish modeled in some studio out in North Hollywood, and they would go out there and we would shoot the images. We would get the background plates when it was shot on the studio, and we would make sure that is all brought in, whether it was on a hard drive or some of it may have been shot on film or a digital camera. However it was shot, we would bring it in. We would then have to convert it, because all different formats, all different color spaces. So we would have to bring it in, process it into our proprietary color space and format, and then the artist could work on it.
Color space.
Yes.
Inside industry words, guys. If you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, talk about color space.
All the cameras had different color matching, color temperatures. So we wanted to make sure when we brought it in and spit it back out, it would all look like it was shot on the same camera.
Wait, so the Indian kid in the movie was real, right?
He was real.
Okay.
Well, not all the time though. Not all the time.
Oh, those digital.
If you remember that one shot where he goes into the water, he is not real.
So you're getting the inside scoop now, guys. Wait, so if somebody showed up and saw you on a work day there, would it look like you on a computer doing Photoshop and video editing? Is that what it would look like to
For
a
me,
normal
more
person?
or less, yeah.
Okay.
And just hitting action buttons and stuff like that. But I would have photographers who would go on set.
Yeah.
They'd bring lighting rigs and sometimes green screens. I had another guy who was a color editor.
Yeah.
So he would do all the color timing. Had another department that was all 2D editing. So they would be the ones who would find reference from other features, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, here's another shot that we really like the clouds on this shot. So we would splice that in and provide that to the artist. So you have to remember also, at this point, we were in El Segundo. The campus was in El Segundo, just south of LAX. But we had studios. We had 2 studios in India. We had 1 in Taiwan and 1 in Vancouver. So an artist in India, for instance, let's go to Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? We shot Alvin and the Chipmunks, and there's Alvin. He's dribbling a basketball.
Yeah.
Well, the artist in India has no idea how big that basketball is, what the texture is like, what color it is.
Oh, because they play cricket.
Yeah, they don't play basketball over there, do they?
Okay.
And we can't necessarily send it over there because our artists need it. So we would shoot reference images of it, shoot lighting, shoot texture, and then send that to them digitally so they would have it accessible through a reference library.
Oh, here's a digital basketball, guys. Oh, you passed it to India. That's a long
good
pass.
one. I like that.
Hey, did you ever lose your wallet in El Segundo?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Why?
There's an old song from the, I'm going to say 80s.
Really?
Yeah, I lost my wallet in El Segundo. It's probably the only song that ever references El Segundo.
Ever.
Ever, yeah.
I have not heard of that.
Sometimes this podcast is just for me.
So you worked on Star Trek, and I think you listed it as your kind of like the most interesting story for you, Star Trek: The Experience, right?
The Experience. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were there. So that was at the Las Vegas Hilton.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, was that theirs? Did you?
Yeah.
I know they shut it down a number of years ago.
Was it the one that was based on The Next Generation?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So I went there, got a free entrance because I worked on it. Asked, my wife wasn't interested. So we asked, okay, how long is it going to take? And they said, oh, maybe 20, 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It cut out for a little bit, but you're good.
Okay. So I go in there, and if you ever saw it, I'm not even a Trekkie, but I just absolutely loved it. You see the entire Star Trek timeline. You see all of their props, all the uniforms, all the references. You see this entire storyline of, Admiral this and General that, Captain this, did this. I was there for 2 hours. My poor wife was waiting for me at the end. And then the part we worked on was the motion ride.
Huh.
So you actually go so after you go through this museum-like thing with all the Star Trek stuff,
Yeah.
you go into what's basically like the elevator shaft thing, right? I forget what they call it.
Turbo shaft.
The turbo shaft, and you end up in this place where they have actors come out and they say, "Oh my gosh, we're getting attacked by the Klingons," and you end up on the bridge, and again, actors all around, and then here's, I don't know, Captain Riker or Picard or one of them comes on the screen, says, "Hey, you better hold on. We're being attacked by the Klingons," and you go through this battle while you're on the Enterprise, and then you end up back in Las Vegas, and you land back at the Las Vegas Hilton.
Yeah, and I remember it was years ago, but that bridge was amazing. Like you standing there, and this is like, I'm on the bridge of the Enterprise.
You felt it was real, and all the actors all uniformed out.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, dude, you're in the yellow. You're gonna die."
That guy's dead.
Yeah.
I got choked by a Klingon. That's not even a sex joke. There was a guy in a really great Klingon. He had all the makeup and everything, so it was a really but you're looking at the guy like, this is fantastic. This is what you would see on the TV show.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was beautifully done. I don't think it's there anymore, right?
It's gone. I think it's gone.
Hilton's gone too. Hilton's now the Westgate.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's too bad. I really, as I said, it was one of my favorite projects, and I loved the final work. It was great.
What was your part in it? What did you do?
So we shot the screen that goes when you're on the Enterprise, and you see the Klingon come by, and you're shooting phasers at it, and they're shooting torpedoes at you. That's the part that we did. So all that was obviously CG, believe it or not.
Made the photon torpedoes.
Yeah. And so when we outputted it, my department was the one that put it on actual film, and it was on IMAX, 65 millimeter film. And back then, we didn't have digital recorders. Back then, it was CRT recorders, and that technology was basically a red filter, a green filter, and a blue filter. And so it would go red, image it, rotate to the green, image it, rotate to the red, image it, or red, green, and blue. And then each frame, I think, took, I want to say 2 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, each frame.
To render?
To expose on the film.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, rendering, I don't even remember, to be honest with you. That was probably hours, too, because it was probably at least back then, it was probably a 4K frame. 4K file that you expose onto the film. And then we didn't have disk drives back then that were big enough to hold the entire shot. Yeah. So we actually had to bring in disk drives, calculate, okay, this is going to end, I don't know, Friday at 2 a.m. Somebody else next has to come in and put in the next hard drive, hook it up, reboot the machine, put in the next reel of film, start the next one.
You're working on old 486s that you have to power with a crank.
Silicon graphics, pretty close. Yeah, the old SGIs.
That's really cool.
Nowadays, if someone were to want to get into your profession, would you suggest it, or how would you go about advising them? Yeah,
see, I got out in 2013 when the company went under. I don't know if you saw Life After Pi on YouTube, that documents the ending of Rhythm and Hues. And it was a bit controversial because we just won an Oscar for Life of Pi. How in the world do you end up going into bankruptcy? And 2012 was the biggest year we had. We worked on all these huge projects. And 2 of them we were nominated for a VFX award. The other one was Snow White and the Huntsman. And then we won the Oscar for Life of Pi. And you just find out that the business model is broken. So anyhow, go watch Life of Pi. That explains it all better than I ever could. But at that point, I had to decide, okay, am I going to follow the work around the world?
Life After Pi.
Life After Pi. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm with it.
So at that point, most people who want to stick with the industry have to make a choice that they have to move to Vancouver or London or India or Australia or New Zealand to follow the work, because it's now being offshored because it's cheaper to do so. I have family, I have roots in my community here, so I decided, okay, I'm going to figure out something different. So I ended up going into digital media, project management, eventually program management. I worked at NFL, Fox, Ticketmaster, and now I'm at Sony Funimation, their streaming platform, anime streaming platform. I got to plug anime, right? But to answer your question,
does it help you if 1 million more people go watch Funimation anime? Like that?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you like anime, there's a new place to get it.
Customers are good, and then we're doing this this merge right now with Crunchyroll, which is a huge thing, right? So we're trying to become
anime streaming platform online.
That's anime, yeah. So we were competitors, and Sony Funimation came and bought and acquired Crunchyroll. So now we're trying to merge the two brands together, and now we want to take on the Netflixes and the Disney Pluses and be the anime streaming platform.
Until you get bought by Netflix.
Oh man, that would be huge. I can't imagine that happening.
Okay.
But anyhow, but to get back to your question, what would I recommend to people who want to get into the industry? I would tell them you better be prepared to live abroad somewhat because the work is not necessarily here. Now, I have to step back a little bit because a lot of it has opened up here because of Netflix, because of the Hulus and the Disney Pluses and the original content, right? Apple Plus is trying to get into it. So all these places are trying to create their own content, and they need a place to do the visual effects. And the talent pool is not up to par with the rest of the world. It's here in Los Angeles. So what was happening was
the best digital animators and effects people are in LA still. Is that what you're saying?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. There's a huge cost. So what was happening is a lot of these studios would outsource and offshore their work and then realized, okay, this shot is never going to get to where we need it to be. And then they would bring it back to Los Angeles and pay massive overtime to a good artist to get it done. And in the end, do they end up saving money? I don't know if they do.
Sounds like not. Yeah, because you're paying for the crappy one first and then paying for the good one in a rush.
Yep.
When you could just pay for the good one to begin with.
That's what you would think, right? Yeah. So hopefully that's the way it's working. But it's a constantly evolving industry, new technology. I mean, if you've watched The Mandalorian,
yeah,
and they're doing live rendering on stage, which is something I was never a part of. Right? Whenever we shot something, you had to have a background plate, a green screen plate, your foreground plate, lighting passes, right? So maybe 5 different elements per shot. And now they just shoot it all on stage. So the technology is definitely developed. It's made it better and faster and really changed the game. But I still think the best talent is still in Los Angeles.
I can see we got some awesome computer effects going on here because I can see Erik clearly, but his background is on a different plate.
Cover the mess.
That's real-time digital.
What was during your time as a visual FX? What were the titles that you held during that time?
Let's see. I started out as a scan, record, and timing coordinator. So I was a lead scan, record, timing coordinator. So I did the scan, record, right? So shots were shot on negative back then. So we had to scan it in. We had to, again, color match, make sure we're in the right color space, right?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, once we were ready to see what it looked like on film, we would put it back onto film using the laser or using film recorders. And then we would be able to project it. And then you'd be able to do feedback loops based on the film. There's that, and then color timing, because when you brought a shot in, it may have been shot different time of day, different lighting setup, but we wanted it to color match so that in the scene, even though you have several cuts, it looks like it's all shot in the same room or on the same outdoor space. So those are the things I did as a scan, record, timing coordinator. From there, I went to the scan, record supervisor. So I supervised a team that did that. And I was also being a producer because we would get requests in from independent filmmakers.
Yeah.
And they would say, hey, I shot this film. I put it on film and I want to submit it to a contest or oh gosh, what are those called? Word escapes me.
Competition?
Yeah, competitions or festivals, right? I want to submit it to festivals. And so I need it all on one camera reel. I need to put it on this hard drive, whatever the final media was. So I would then price that out and I'd have to schedule it in and make sure we were covered for that. And then finally moved up to the digital image resources manager, where we added resource photography. We had color timing, video editing. So all these things, came under my banner. And then from there, because I had all the people doing these separate tasks, I got to help out more with the software development on the product side. And we had several tools that were all developed in-house. So then I could give feedback, hey, my guys are having to do 5 clicks to do this particular task. Can we just get a shortcut key?
Yeah.
And so I would get that queued up and they would build that up and I would say, oh, we save, I don't know, 5 seconds per click. And you add that up over the course of a day and weeks. And it adds up. And one of the issues we had with visual effects is I want to say our net profit margin was like, I don't know, it was like 4%. It was really, really low. So literally every second you could save on somebody's time was huge because labor was obviously our number one cost.
I see.
Do you think if you kind of looked at Hollywood having the expertise here now, but did you at a time kind of see it was too foreign, so much foreign specialty on CGI? Like, did that kind of scare you for a time in that industry or anything? Did you think about it like that?
I never thought it would get to the point where it was offshored almost 100%. I thought they would at least keep the more complicated and the more complicated work and definitely the bigger projects they would keep here in Los Angeles, and the rest they would farm out, because that was the original model and it worked really well. But obviously when you look at the bottom line, when you look at the bottom line and the dollar amount, then you say, well, why don't we just do, instead of 20% offshore and 80% here, why don't we flip it? It'll be a lot cheaper. We'll save money. And it is logical until you look at the final output with your own eyes and you realize, wow, they can't do what our artists here can do.
Because they don't know basketballs.
I was watching the Condor team, I think. They're a video FX. They're a YouTube channel that their team will sit down with other visual effects people and then go through a certain video. So the one that I just watched, they broke down Shang-Chi, the video FX that they did, and they had I think the guy that runs the actual camera, the guy running with the gimbal and stuff, and then I think the other guy was, I think he.
Why you gotta bring up Asian stuff, man?
Actually, that guy was black, and then the guy running the camera was black. I think the guy, I forget. I think he would splice in. They would have like the real, like a bus scene where Shang is jumping on the bus and fighting the other guys, but that was real. And then they had the green screen right behind that, so it was a mixture of a full bus with the green screen behind it. And then I think the other white guy, I think he was white, I don't remember, but he would.
How this got all racial.
He would. You started it. So then he would cut the green screen stuff to mix the color space to match the bus.
Exactly.
So they would sit down and they would break down that movie. And they do that for many movies. Have you seen that channel?
I think, I'm familiar with it, where they go through different movies and break down what's going on.
There's one comment there I wanted to ask you about. His comment was, he said, in Shang-Chi, it shows the product that came out was they let the visual FX people run that, meaning oftentimes you get managers and the money comes in and then they're like, well, we need to cut money on this, and we need to dictate what you could do. So that FX guy said, no, we need this to make it look good. And I guess they got the okays, they got free range. So in your perspective, where you've been in the industry, have you seen where cuts on certain film have caused the film to look really bad? Have you experienced that?
Well, maybe not bad. When I worked on X-Men 2, X2, what's her name? Kelly Hu plays Lady Deathstrike, and she has this fight scene with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, right? And I remember watching the original uncut version, and I'm watching this going, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. And I said, this is going to get a rated R rating.
Wow.
There's no way this is going to be PG-13. And lo and behold, they had to take a lot of that out in order to get the PG-13 rating.
Like, it was
now,
too gory?
Sure it was brutal.
Okay.
Wow. And so I think if you can get the original disc on it, the hard disc, you can see the making of, and you can see the unedited fight scene, and it's great. It's well done. But I knew from the get-go that wasn't going to make it into the final cut.
Huh, that's interesting. I guess I've I didn't think about the PG-13. I'm such a growing up on X-Men. So when the X-Men movies came out, I never correlated rated R and rated PG-13. I've always thought the X-Men movies were too soft, but now maybe it was
for kids.
Yeah, it didn't dawn onto me.
You learn really quickly when you're in the industry that the dollar is what drives everything, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, really? Another Alvin and the Chipmunks? Really?" and yet another Alvin and the Chipmunks? Really? But you look at the dollars, the money that they make, and you're going to say, "Okay, yeah, I guess we're going to make another one because there's money to be made."
Did you watch the Shang-Chi movie?
Of course, yes.
What did you think of the special effects in that movie? The digital.
I thought overall they're pretty good. I can't imagine how expensive that final sequence with the dragons were. And the water, that must have been so expensive, and lengthy, just in rendering and all that. But yeah, I thought it was beautifully shot. Visually, it was stunning.
Should we go to an Asian American context, or should we stick with?
Let's do it.
The digital. Does that movie mean anything for us Asian Americans? So for our listening audience, Eric, you look like you have Japanese heritage. Is that correct with your last name inference?
Yes. So
Okay.
Mom's Japanese, straight from Japan, born, raised, educated.
Yeah.
Dad is from Hawaii.
Awesome. Yeah. So does Shang-Chi mean anything for Asian Americans?
I think so. I don't know. I wanted it to be as good as Black Panther
Yes. Yep. Okay.
was for maybe our black brethren, but it was good.
We haven't rallied around that movie.
I actually, by chance, I was talking with two black friends recently, and I brought up Shang-Chi, and my thoughts on Shang-Chi was they did fantastic on the visual FX. They did fantastic on the fight coordination, the choreography. Choreography of that. They
Kung
did
Fu-ography?
yeah. So I feel like out of those things, like there's certain movies you watch, I feel like I could point out, it seems like they cut something, some budget or something affected the quality of that. But in this case, the visual effects, the fight scenes, that seemed like it wasn't cut. The only thing that I felt was I felt like the story and the picking of the lead actress. I felt like they didn't pay as much attention to that, and it affected I think the story was the number one. I think the way they portrayed the lead actress, female, the girlfriend of Shang.
You're saying it needed a better story?
There's
Awkwafina's character. Awkwafina's character.
I forget her name. The girlfriend of Shang.
Yeah, I can't remember her character's name, but
Yeah.
played by Awkwafina.
Yeah, I felt they did a decent
famous.
job, but I felt like it could have. The storyline was number one. There was too many holes. There was a lot of holes. Maybe I need to rewatch and see if I missed something that would explain certain holes. Like how did Shang get all of a sudden the powers that was from the mom? Obviously, you could maybe guess that he absorbed the powers from his mom, but there should be something to explain that.
Yeah.
That was I feel like a multi-million-dollar like movie. They probably need to close up those gaps.
No, but a story, it's not going to sell tickets.
I feel that when you spend that much more effort into a movie, you get enough people. There's going to be a subset of people that pay attention and they voice their opinion to the others. So it's kind of like you gotta affect the critics so that the commoners follow the critics.
We need you to be ranting and raving about this right now. Saying it's the most amazing movie.
But I appreciate that because I know so many people who loved it, and I think they're just blinded by the fact that it is an Asian American superhero, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I think it was needed. I was very surprised that was what they picked. Like, can you pick a more stereotypical superhero to start with?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can he do math also and play violin?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But
ultimately, I didn't love it. I loved Black Panther, and Shang-Chi I didn't love. I loved the bus sequence. That was really, really well done. But one of my pet peeves is when they shoot stuff like that and they pull it in tight and they do multiple cuts. Like you look at a movie like John Wick, right?
Mm-hmm.
They pull the camera out and you see Keanu Reeves is really kicking everybody's ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's really doing this stuff. He's really pulling that rifle out. He's changing the mag. He's cocking it. He's doing everything. You're not doing what they did with the Bourne Identity movies.
Yeah.
Right. Where you're just cutting it like crazy. So that was one of my big pet peeves throughout the movie. Whenever there were fight sequences, they would pull in tight and they would do multiple cuts. Like, I pull it out. Like Fred Astaire, Bruce Lee, these guys, you would never do that. Right? Let them be the artists.
You're saying that editing is creating the illusion that they're doing something amazing, where you're saying if you pull it out, you can see somebody really doing the thing.
But that would be also be on the directing side. They would have had to have they would have to plan that scene. Am I saying that correctly? So the director would have had to chosen a scene where they zoom out and you see all that action, where they kept the camera pretty close. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, somebody made that creative decision to say, we want to crop this in. But again, the Bourne Identity trilogy did this throughout. We're going to do the shaky camera.
I'm not a fan of shaky cameras.
Yeah, and then we're going to cut in really tight here. And then your brain has to try and put this all together. What's going on? I want it panned out. Like you look at the Ip Mans with Donnie Yen, right? Everything is pulled out and you can see he's actually doing all this stuff. And you gain an appreciation for what he's doing.
I saw a John Wick movie on an airplane. I think it was a scene where he just killed some lady in a bathtub, and then he has to escape the nightclub fortress, and he ends up murdering 37 guys who are out to get him. And then so I was on a plane and I was probably half asleep or something, but I rewound it. I'm like, I counted. He murdered 37 dudes that were trying to. Yeah, I was like, this is impossible that none of these guys hit him. So I know it's super popular, but I lose my suspension of disbelief when one guy takes out 37 other armed gunmen.
That's how badass he is. Yes, and that's the point.
Well, I mean, John Wick. From my understanding, that it's a man's movie. They don't care about the realism of it. I understand. I try to watch movies where I like it more when it feels like it's possibly real.
Well, I feel like I could kill 5 or 10 guys, but come on, 37. He can't be more.
But with Keanu Reeves, he is actually doing everything.
Yeah.
Right. So when he pulls that gun down and he's reloading, he is actually technically doing everything. Or when he's fighting a guy and he's doing all the movements, he's actually doing all that stuff. So you just appreciate what he's.
There's YouTube videos of him in like these combat schools where you're shooting.
Oh yeah.
So he does the training to be competent with firearms and.
Right. Yeah, I watched that going, man, that guy's getting paid to do that.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Wait, so what did Black Panther have that Shang-Chi did not?
So while I was standing around my two black friends and I was mentioning Shang-Chi, and then
what's up, dudes?
I asked them, I told them have they watched it? I'm curious on their opinion. They said no. So I explained kind of what I mentioned to you guys about. I think it's just the storyline that was. I mean, if America and Hollywood want to say that they gave Asian Americans a fair chance, and that this is a little bit of my perspective on it. I felt like Hollywood in America was saying, hey, Asian Americans, you got your fair chance. This is your chance, which they chose Shang-Chi. And
right.
Wait, no, Asian Americans didn't choose that movie.
It's a financial situation.
Oh.
And it's a financial situation for them to make a movie. And then later, I don't know if it's Asian people. I think it's more just rich people saying, hey, Asians, you got your chance. That's what
isn't this movie doesn't sell, so we can't waste more money on Asian American movies?
Yes. So I kind of explained my perspective on how I thought the choreography was great. I told that to my black friends, and then they're like, oh, that's interesting, your stance on it. And they're like, so it's not up to Black Panther. I was like, oh, so you guys thought Black Panther did a pretty decent job on giving you guys a chance. And they're like, yeah, we thought it was pretty fair. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
But a chance at what?
That is interesting.
To where the storyline, the acting, the money actually gives a black person in as a leading role a fair chance to be this badass actor in a movie that's like, I don't know if they have AAA rated movies. I don't know how that, in like the gaming world, video games.
It's just sales. Whatever sells 100, 200 million.
But they usually put in like 100 and something million into producing that. So if they're going to put 100 million something into Shang-Chi, I wish that they would have done the whole enchilada, the storyline, everything, top grade actors and actresses and everything.
Well, they did have top grade. Yeah, they had Awkwafina. And well, here's my other pet peeve, right? Tony Leung plays the bad guy. He plays the dad. Tony Leung is one of the best actors of all time. And I thought he was so wasted in this. His talent was just not utilized fully. I felt like they could have done so much more with him. And here's where, again, I'm not a creative writer at all, but this is what I was imagining at the very end, and hopefully I'm not ruining it for anybody here.
You had your chance,
right? At the end, he's trying to get through that barrier. He lets the dragon ends up coming out. So before that, his son Shang-Chi is trying to tell him, "No, stop! You're gonna kill us all. It's all a lie. It's not really Mom. Don't do it." And he throws Shang-Chi into the water, and he's finally breaks through the barrier, and here comes this dragon. I would have imagined him going into that cave and then having this oh crap moment, like they were telling the truth and I was fooled. And then he turns around and he sees that dragon just absolutely wasting the entire village and turning around going, what did I do? And then at that point, that's the pivotal moment where he has to say, I have to fix this. This is all my fault. And he goes back and he fights the dragon. And then he ends up dying as the martyr, right? Trying to save the village or save his son, save his sister-in-law, whatever. That's what I felt like was missing. And then where the heck did this good dragon come from? Right? Like, right? Shang-Chi, he's in the water. Oh no. Oh, let's put a good dragon down there, and it saves him.
There was no story behind. Well, I guess they mentioned a protector in the beginning. A protector.
Yeah, but if it was me, not a writer, but I would have put like baby dragon with the mom. Maybe when they first started having that courtship time. Right, at least some illusion, and then little baby dragon has a little intimate moment with yet to be born Shang-Chi. Have some sort of connection there.
Does that work in American movies to have the villain have full redemption right at the end? Or is that not in the American formula?
It depends.
Because there's a formula that we can't. It has to be a bad guy. The hero has to get the girl. Right? There's things that have to happen in American movies, right? Because like Chinese movies, the romantic interests oftentimes will be unrequited, right? The romantic loves will never connect and never get to be happy together. But in American movies, you have to get the girl, right? There has to be, otherwise we're all pissed off, right?
In Shang-Chi, they're just friends, right? There was no...
You got friend zoned?
There was no romantic connection between the two. Same with Black Panther, right? Black Panther, there was no romantic connection.
I would say in Shang-Chi, there was definitely a romantic interest between the two.
You think so? I didn't think so.
I think definitely so, but it wasn't as strong as most American movies. It
wasn't overt.
It was yes.
It sounds like you guys are saying we need to bring back the Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker movies.
My personal gripe with that is okay, man. How do I what's the word? Emasculation of Asian men.
No, you kicked everybody's ass.
But it's still.
He was still a clown. He wasn't a dominating.
Yeah, he didn't. He got the girls in some of the movies, but it's never convincing. You don't portray like in.
We need an alpha hero Asian.
Yeah, like
I'd be all for that. Yeah,
let's take.
Who doesn't do kung fu necessarily? Right?
Yeah, like Crazy Rich Asians. He's just rich.
I haven't watched that actually.
And good looking.
Oh, you haven't really?
Yeah, I haven't.
Oh, you should. It's a breakthrough movie for Asian Americans.
I heard it wasn't, so I decided not to watch it.
This is why you don't know
Aquafina. Support it though. You should support it.
This is why you don't know how amazing Aquafina is.
I want to support something if it's good, but if it's unfairly given praise, then I feel like I don't want to support it. I totally agree. I understand where you're coming from.
You're not buying movies anyway, you son of a bitch. You're stealing them off the internet.
It's in everybody.
You're not supporting shit if you're stealing it.
I could talk about it on a podcast.
That's very Asian of you.
So is it Chris Evans, Captain America? Is that Chris
Yes.
Evans?
He's the stereotypist strong white dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So I never get that feeling with Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan would never be that strong male figure that gets a woman like Chris Evans. Now,
Right.
Jackie Chan has movies where he gets women, but it's not the same at the same caliber of Chris Evans. So
That's why you got to watch Crazy Rich Asians. He's the dude everybody wants.
oh, okay.
It portrays.
Okay. I did not know. I did not hear that side of it.
I mean, I think that's a good thing too of all these Korean productions coming onto Netflix. I don't know if you guys noticed,
True.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
but you're going to see a lot of lead Asian male, romantic, heartthrob, hunky. Like, I want that guy with the bowl cut.
Yeah, that's that same night I was
They make it look cool.
They pull it off.
Somehow pull it off.
South Korea is bringing in the bowl cut strong.
I know. I got bullied left and right for having a bull cut. You know what I mean?
he
Now
wrote,
it's in.
he wrote in his bio.
Oh, really?
He wants to talk about
Dude, I could tell our listening audience that Eric's haircut right now is badass. Like,
Thank you.
I got
just cut it
distracted
yesterday.
earlier. I missed your color space joke because I was checking out your hair. Like, this is awesome hair. I need to do this.
So what did you say? The Korean thingy. I want to jump to that. So while I was talking to my black friends that night, by chance
You got to throw
Black
Squid
ones
Games
again.
in their face. Like, you can have Wakanda, bitches.
they kind of brought it up, and then his daughter came downstairs to eat at the barbecue, and I forget how the conversation came up. I was talking about Chang-Chi and Asian stuff, and then he said, "Oh, my daughter's really into Korean K-pop."
Yeah.
And so he had her put on YouTube, blast the speakers, and it was just K-pop music for like probably 30 minutes. But at that moment, for me, that was a moment where I kind of felt like that Jackie Chan, the cool thing that Jackie Chan didn't get, the cool thing of this little girl, she was, I think 13 years old.
Yeah.
She was really enjoying these K-pop male bands.
So she wants to get with Korean dudes with purple hair?
I didn't ask that
Oh.
that
Or
specific
blonde,
question.
or blue.
Yeah.
But to me, that was something growing up, like when Jackie Chan and Jet Li, Bruce Lee, martial arts was like a pretty badass thing. But at the same time, I would kind of be made fun of by other white friends. They're kind of like, oh, so Kung Fu is really cool with your culture, huh? I'm like, why do you got to put it like that? And then they might say something like, oh, so does Kung Fu include Ching Chang Chong? I'm like, no, that's a language. It's different than the...
That's Chinese.
So it was Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan didn't bring that cool factor that K-pop seems to have, even though I kind of... K-pop's kind of an interesting...
I mean, it's not fair.
It's not exactly masculine. either.
Yes.
But we have a generation that's grown up on anime and Korean music, right? Is that
True.
Crunchyroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's super
And
popular
Funimation. Yep.
because young people are into it. Is that the basic?
Yeah, apparently. And as they grow up, they're going to get jobs, and hopefully they keep their subscriptions.
I'll tell you this, guys. Whenever I see, so I'm half Vietnamese. I have to disclaim for our audience. I'm half Vietnamese, but when people look at me, they're just confused. So I get this strange role of not not enjoying or suffering any Asian stereotypes right out the gate. But I understand it, and I live in it. In certain ways. But anyway, I was out at Zion National Park, and I always notice when an Asian dude is with a non-Asian woman, and
Especially like a white woman too.
yeah, because the idea being that in America there's a huge disadvantage for being an Asian guy for getting dates, right? To getting chicks, right?
Sure.
It's harder for Asian dudes. So there was three instances where I saw Asian dudes with non-Asian American women, and I was like, "You go, brother."
Yeah, no, I share that. I mean, in the dating scene, for me, I feel like I was fortunate to date a lack of better words, a buffet, different ethnic types. Sorry,
You're taking all the intellect
I
right out of
did
you.
not expect that word coming out.
So, dated women of
International buffet, if you will.
international of different skin
Ballard?
colors. And But when I do see an Asian guy with someone that other than Asian, I definitely root for, because it's a mixture that, whether it's the emasculation of Asian men in America, where it's harder for Asian men to get women, I think, because women don't because of movies, the history of whether I don't know if you call it history or culture.
Yeah, their brain is hooked on Prince Charming and a quarterback, and these kind of, I want Thor, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
These sort of things.
That's what masculine looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I mean, to that point, I mean, I have a colleague who said something to me that has stuck with me, and said sometimes you have to be the role model you wish you had, and I really like that. Like, and so I don't want to say I'm the uber alpha male by any means, but you know, I took martial arts as a young kid because that was my problem solution for being bullied, right? And I happened to do well in it. Competed internationally, won a few titles, and so when it comes to playing basketball or football or soccer, and I got bullied all the time on the playing field, but you just realize real quick when you hit them back, they stop bullying you real quick, because they bleed just as much as you do, and they feel pain just as much as you do, and all of a sudden you find a different level of respect at that level, at that point.
Wait. So tell us more. You were in grade school and you're getting bullied for being Asian?
Yeah, because I was one of maybe a handful of Asians in the entire school.
You in LA
I was up by San Francisco at this point.
Okay.
Grew up in the Bay Area.
You're in the Bay Area. Okay.
Yeah. Always one of the smallest.
Yeah.
Even amongst the girls, I was still one of the smallest.
Then did you do Aikido or Taekwondo or what?
I did American Kempo.
American Kempo. Okay.
So if you're not familiar with that, the Grandmaster of American Kempo, great senior Grandmaster is what he called himself. We called him Ed Parker, right? Ed Parker is the one, or known as the father of American karate. Started the internationals. He was the one who let Bruce Lee have his demo at the Long Beach Internationals. Right? So that's Ed Parker. And I got my black belt from him maybe 5-6 months before he passed away. So I'm probably one of the last to get a black belt from him.
Yeah.
And just the whole martial arts, I want to call it a family, because it's one of the few places where I remember being at a tournament and looking around, and this is from my peoples, right? The whole martial arts thing is from my peoples, and yet I'm looking around going, I'm like the only Asian here. Right? It's a really funny picture. But with that, it's such a tapestry, because I'm talking to people who are white, Hispanic, black, right? Male, female, kids, adults, seniors, and we're all in this place, and just hugs and love and admiration and respect
punching
everywhere.
And kicking
and then yes, eventually when we get in, we compete, right? And we're competing hard, and we take each other's head off. But it's no different than like two puppies mashing at each other and gnawing at each other, and then when it's at the end, they're exhausted and they take a nap together and eat out of the same bowl, right? So we're doing the same thing, and like, man, we fight, we compete, and at the end we embrace. And it's one of those things I remember growing up watching boxers, like, you just spent 2 hours trying to kill the other guy, and now you're hugging him. I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
And now I do. Like, you train hard, and some of these people I would train with them, and then we go to a tournament and you end up competing against each other, and you want to do your best. And if the other guy wins, great, because I know I brought my best, and that other person still beat me, and I am happy for them.
Eric, if you punch me in the kidneys, it's going to take me a couple of days to be cool with you again. I'm going to congratulate you later by email.
So anyhow, the whole martial arts thing, I get it, it's stereotypical, but at least for me, it was a seed, and it was something that culminated, and it's a lot of who I am, and I bring it onto the playing field, whether I'm playing soccer or basketball or football and all those places, or even, walking in the street and somebody bumps into you, like, do I really need to take this to a different level? Probably not. It's not worth my time. Well, but if you did step up, Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm ready. I know I can take it there if he really wants to go there. But I really don't. I really don't.
No, there's a difference of being scared of an aggressive person versus stopping yourself from punching them in the throat.
Yeah.
Right? There's a different that's a different world for that person, right? Either, oh, I got to, I'm a victim and I got to run and hide, or I got to control myself. I could take this guy's head off, but I'm not going to because legal things. And I'm not here to punch anybody in the face. I want to be happy. But I think what you're saying is that there's importance for the self-esteem and importance for the confidence to
absolutely
have the ability,
absolutely.
right?
And just the aggressive, you can, it's a controlled aggressiveness, right? Especially if you're on the basketball court or football, whatever the sport is, right? I can control that aggressiveness. And if somebody feels like they want to push you around because they think you can, then you realize, well, no, I can meet that. I can exceed it if you want to, but again, I don't want to have to go there. And, are we cool? Are we good? And we play and have fun.
I'm not sure if you already answered this, but was it a conscious decision to do Kempo as a self-defense thing because of the bullying, or was it?
So here's the story behind that one, right? So my dad raised me to be a problem solver, right? So when I was telling him this is what was going on at school, he would basically say, well, what are you going to do about it? And
that's good parenting.
So yeah. So for me, my source of wisdom was the television. Yeah. Right? I would go to the TV and I'd go, okay, well, what am I going to do? And at that point, the only person that looked like me that was on the TV was Bruce Lee. So I said, okay, there's a guy who charismatic, commands respect. Everybody loves him. Doesn't matter who, everybody respects him. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So I told my parents, we didn't have mad money and we didn't have commercial places on the street. So my mom took me to the local YMCA, and I just happened to find an instructor who raised me up kind of like a second dad, right? That's the type of mentoring and coaching he provided me. We had an assistant instructor who had become like an older sister or a young aunt type role model. So I had that as well. It was just an amazing atmosphere and environment to grow up in a place where we trained together, trained hard, then we go to tournaments and support one another, bring home medals and talk story. And when you train with people and you say, okay, I am going to put my life basically in your hands, treat my life and my body with respect, and do the same the other way. And you realize at certain points, wow, that guy held back. He really could have destroyed me with that shot.
He could have snapped my spine.
He didn't. Yeah, but I know he didn't. And I have to respect that. Like, I will show, like, hey, thank you for controlling that shot. You could have totally taken me out. Much respect. Let's do this again. Right. And that's how we play it. And you just realize who has that had that level of respect for themselves and for others. And then in the same token, you will come across the Cobra Kai types. You will come across people who will take advantage of the fact that, oh, you are vulnerable at this point. I'm going to sweep the leg. I'm going to hit you in the kidney that I just hit you out before, because I know you are going to be peeing blood for a little bit. I'm going to keep hitting you there.
No mercy.
There are people like that. Yeah. And you just realize, okay, when I get in front of that person, I'm just going to stay away. And I know you're going to get frustrated. And that's the game we're going to play.
Yeah.
Because I need to go up and go to work the next morning.
So ideally we want a world where race is not important, right? We want to get to a place where we just see each other as human beings and we respect each other for your actions and your accomplishments. But are you guys saying that you grew up in a world where that was so much of how people viewed you and treated you that it is impossible to have dissociated that in your upbringing? It was so that you're so much in that ocean that you can't not breathe that water?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of how other people's view you, and it's also how you view yourself, right? So if you never see a version of yourself on the television and you realize nobody else has seen that either, or the version that they see is the long duck dong, or the short round.
Oh, that guy was hilarious.
Jones, right? That's all they see. Like, that's what they expect of me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I'm not having none of that. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to step into the room, shoulders back, head high, all 5'5" of myself. Right?
Yeah.
Not very tall, but that's okay. Like, I am going to put myself out there and bring my best every time, and I want to compete with everybody in the room.
So then the smart way to look at that is to say that it takes an extra effort to break those stereotypical views, to not succumb to the way people are looking at you, but then to present something new.
I'll answer your question. Let me just give some backstory for Eric to understand me. So I grew up in Santee, which is predominantly all white. So I was probably out of 2,000 students at a high school. I was probably one out of 15 Asians there. And I felt my personality, I'm 5'2", but my personality is hella strong. At that time I was like 115 pounds. I bent, or 120, I forget. I was benching 220 pounds. So I was,
oh dang.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was very strong. I was very confident in myself when it came to pull-up competitions or push-up competitions. I double did anybody the second ranked person. I outdid them by double. It was just, I held my weight, but I feel bad for the other Asians at that school where the other 14,
right?
My voice, I hope, is strong enough to help them. So to answer your question, am I held back from those situations? I had a very strong personality to fight, to overcome and not let it too negatively affect me.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for the other 14. I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah.
I was battling, trying to handle that situation, just barely overcoming it. Those 14, I feel bad for them.
So then, was Karate Kid good for Asian Americans or not? Because there wasn't an Asian in the movie, right?
Well, you had Mr. Miyagi.
Oh yeah, Mr. Miyagi.
who was right? He was your quintessential mentor type, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody would love to have a Mr. Miyagi in their lives. But
yeah, give me a car.
Yeah, to your point, like, not exactly macho or masculine.
Yeah,
in that sense.
Yeah. So, do we want macho, masculine, or do we want attractive? Because I would say that BTS could be heart-throbbing teen sensations, but not necessarily masculine, right?
Correct. Yeah. I want balance.
Yeah.
Right. I understand how, to me, it's like every single Asian male that's on the screen tends to be gay. And okay, I understand that there are, right? I understand that there are gay Asian males, but I want balance, right? If you're going to just put that out there, then let's have an alpha.
Oh, so you're saying in popular entertainment, we would like more portrayals of masculine Asian men?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm in with that. I'm down with that.
I was actually, just for fun, to argue, I'd rather pick the sexy side. If men can be portrayed as a sexy partner for women of all, mainly, I guess I'll say white women, because that seems to be the problem here in America. White women will not choose an Asian man probably 9 out of 10 times or worse. Sure. Right. So I think sex seems to drive everything. Money and sex, but in this case,
yeah.
Yeah, so if we could portray Asian men more sexy somehow, that would potentially fix the next generation. Because if you have Asian men having babies with white women, you're gonna get the next generation that's okay with that, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I'd love to see like an Asian James Bond.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Why couldn't you have that?
Yeah, Asian Captain America.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like everybody
wouldn't make sense.
No, it does.
Well, how it would.
Because America is everybody. America is anybody that
comes
exactly.
Yeah.
So in other words, Captain America should be Filipino.
Yeah. I mean, a white Captain America came from England or Ireland or whatever, right?
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah. Unless you want Native American Captain America.
Yeah, it should be a Native American who should be Captain America.
That really wouldn't make sense.
I like that.
Yeah.
That would offend everybody on Earth simultaneously.
But yet be so true.
Especially if identified as a woman.
Do we want to segue this Asian stuff into your AAPI stuff? So you're doing you're working with? Is it Stop AAPI Hate? Is that what you're working with? That is it, or maybe I looked it up on the internet and accidentally connected you to. What are you doing for
I
AAPI?
hate AA. No.
No.
You tell us, because we're clearly lost.
No, I think we're all should be standing for any type of hate, right? We should get rid of all that.
Yeah.
But I just think to a certain degree, I feel like we're easy targets because we're passive. We don't fight back, right? That's, again, what's portrayed in media. We're soft.
Wait, so AAPI is Asian American Pacific Islander? Is that the
Correct
acronym?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? I guess that's the question. What are you doing? Are you doing something that's anti-Asian American hate? Is that what Lim's alluding to?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing anything specific.
Okay. I thought I read on your profile. I could be mixing it up. Totally sorry.
You haven't started a nonprofit foundation?
I do have a nonprofit foundation, but it doesn't have to do with AAPI hate.
Oh, okay.
So this is
but in terms of AAPI, yeah, and really BIPOC, like Black, Indigenous people of color. My thing is, again, I'm really into this being competitive with anybody and everyone, right? I want to be able to step into any room and be competitive financially, professionally, financially, or did I say that right? Professionally, financially.
Yeah, if you got the most money, you win.
And physically, right? So across the gamut. Now, if you step up against like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, are you going to win financially? Probably not, right? But did you do more with where you started from compared to where you are now, right? Have you leveraged? Have you increased? Have you done, where are you physically, right? Are you taking care of yourself, or are you just a fat, out of shape slob, right? So these are the things that I'm really passionate about. And so for me, one of the main foundations is going to be financial, right? Can you compete financially? That doesn't mean you are going to have the same net worth as a Bezos or Musk.
Yeah.
But have you done anything to leverage your position? Have you increased your position? So for me, that has been real estate investment. And so I found out that there are a lot of people who, mainly, again, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, whose parents or grandparents didn't own a home, right? They came in as immigrants, had nothing, and they didn't have any generational wealth. Same with people of color, right? They just haven't had the opportunity and generational wealth that other people have had. Well, I didn't write the rules. The rules weren't written by people who look like me or us, but we're in this game. Let's figure it out. Let's compete. Let's do this. So I'm trying to coach and help people to be able to start real estate investment. Let's buy real estate. Let's figure out how to increase our net worth, and let's be competitive financially.
I second that motion.
Is it a financial coaching practice that you do, or how would you describe? How would they contact you? Also,
well, you can go to my Facebook, right? You're gonna have to spell it out though, unfortunately. So it's Erik with a K Akutagawa, right? Akutagawa. So I'm on Facebook. You can just DM me. If you DM me with LL for the show, I'll reach out and we'll talk. But to answer your question, I want to coach people. Look, there's a lot of people who are sitting there going, I will never be able to buy a house. I will never be able to buy a real estate investment because I don't have enough cash.
Yeah.
And they stop right there. They are blocked.
It's expensive.
And I'm saying it is expensive, but I'm saying, let's figure out other ways. Let's be creative about it. So I coach what's called the 4P breakthrough program.
Yeah. We need to steal land from Whitey.
Yeah.
No?
Take it back for the Native Americans.
So we go through the 4Ps, right? Number one is your problem or your predicament. Let's figure that out. Why are we in this situation? What's the problem you have? What's the predicament? Number two is your purpose. What is driving this? Like, what's the whole point? Is it just to make money? Is it just to build an empire?
Yeah, money.
Because Yeah, if that's the case, then maybe we won't work that well together, because I want to find people who are, well, I have 3 kids and we're renting, and I have no idea how I'm going to put them through college. I have no idea how we're going to give them any generational wealth. See, that is a purpose that is beyond themselves, and I love that. I want to help that. Or other people who I want to start a nonprofit. I want to, they want to do something that is bigger and greater than just creating an empire.
Shit.
Right. So that's the second P. Third P is, what's your plan, right? We have to figure out a plan. And from your plan comes your strategy. There's different strategies you can play out. Some people are doing the Airbnbs. That's not my thing. It might be yours. And I have reasons to do mine, and you might have reasons to do yours. Whatever.
Wait, people are using Airbnb as a path to personal wealth?
Correct.
Okay.
They are.
Do you have to own the place first before you start Airbnb-ing?
Not necessarily. There are ways around that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm an Airbnb somebody else's house.
So we can talk about that.
Uh-huh.
And then the final one is your partners, right? Who's your team? Who's on your team? Can you trust them? I have a team that I work with, and I trust them, use them several times. If you're in a different geographical area or you have a different strategy, that's fine. And if you can't find somebody that you can trust to be part of your team, maybe you can contact mine and use that network and start there, because I know I can trust my team.
Okay, so you have a coaching program to get people into real estate investing, generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
I think I understood that correctly. Okay, I'm in.
That's right.
And so I go find Erik Akutagawa on Facebook.
Yep.
I'm going to DM you, and you're going to tell me all the secrets.
DM me LL and we'll talk.
I'll put the link in the video descriptions below.
Oh,
thank you, sir.
I'm in. You got to beat me to it.
Okay, so is it usually? I mean, it's the gamut from people that don't have any money, someone that has a pretty decent career that doesn't know what to do with the money. I mean, even outside of AAPI, like are you taking clients?
I'll take, whoever is in a place where they could utilize the service. Absolutely. I'm just trying to reach out to those who are in this situation where they feel like they're stopped, they're blocked, right?
Oh, you don't have to be Asian. You can contact Erik.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't discriminate. I'm just saying,
yeah,
as a people group, don't have a whole lot of generational wealth there, may not even have the knowledge or the experience anywhere within there. Maybe their parents scraped together and bought a house, and that's it. They never thought about extending beyond that.
Yeah. Well, so is it better to say in a broader sense? So any immigration group, right? Any group that just immigrated here can't possibly have a head start, right? You're showing up in America and getting started, right? So
unless you have an empire back home.
That's true. Some rich people do come to the U.S. Yeah. But so then to me, is it just rich and poor? I mean, either you got money or you don't.
I think it's more along the lines of those who aspire or believe that they could do more than where they are right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful, right? A lot of us think that, and this is part of my story too, right? I graduated college. I went to engineering. I was an engineer for a while, then got this job in the visual effects industry. Yeah. Oh, I'm in entertainment. This is great. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. That's a complete fallacy, right? Obviously, the company went into bankruptcy. I was unemployed for, I believe, 7 months. Got a job at a startup. Was unemployed 9 months later because of a reorg. Got a job at the NFL. Oh man, I'm at the freaking NFL, right? Yeah. I'm seeing football players and walk around, and you see what like 6'5" of pure muscle and speed looks like. Like, holy smokes, these guys are huge.
They're gigantic dudes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I've absolutely loved it there, right? But 5-7 months later, I was laid off again because of another reorg, right? They bring me back 5 months after that, 1-year contract. Okay, finish up the year. Then I'm unemployed for another 11 months. I have interviews with like Amazon and Facebook, like all these top places.
Yeah.
Finally end up at Fox. Okay, here's Fox. They're not going anywhere. Oh, but Disney comes in and acquires Fox. So we don't need you anymore. So now I'm out again, finally end up at Ticketmaster. I'm at Ticketmaster for over a year. Things are going great, talking about promotion, all this stuff. And then COVID comes in. And of course, with COVID, there's no live events at all, right? No live events, then there's no Ticketmaster business. So they lay off 75% of their business. I'm like, go there. Fortunately, I ended up at Sony Funimation, which is streaming, and streaming has blown up because of the pandemic. So it's the opposite. We have growing pains. But anyhow, if you look back at my employment or unemployment history, right?
Unemployed dude.
Unemployed 6 times out of 7 years through no fault of my own. And in fact, one of the VPs I worked under told me point blank after I got let go, he said, "It's not your performance. You were great. It's just business."
Yeah.
But fortunately, since I had invested in real estate several years before the first unemployment, right, that real estate investment really carried us through. And I've added more since then. And so all these subsequent unemployment periods, they're uncomfortable, but I couldn't imagine having done it without the real estate investments that we had. So for us, when I say us, my wife and I and my family, it's not so much that, we're again building the empire, we're crazy rich Asians, we're crazy rich type of thing.
You just want some security in a
for us, absolutely,
world,
absolutely. So then at Ticketmaster, I had coworkers there who had been working there for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And this was their first and only job. And now they were out of work and they had no idea what they were going to do.
Yeah. But I think your story you just told is really illustrative in that when I was a kid, people say you get your education and get a good job, but there's more to it. It's not just get a good job and you're making good pay and then you don't have to worry as long as you show up. There's an element of that. If you got a good job, you can show up and you got your paycheck. But then you've just told us how easily that can get derailed. And in your case, a crazy amount of times in a short number of years.
Absolutely. Yep. That life that I guess maybe our parents had, where you worked at the same company or the same industry for 30 years and you retire with the golden watch, that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't have that anymore. So you have to have, and it sounds so cliche, but other streams of income. You have to have other places where you are going to bring in money to put food on the table, or to put your kids to college, whatever the case may be. Right. I just don't see any other way people do it.
I like it.
What's kind of maybe stories that you could tell clients that you worked with in your line of work with this with house investment and whatnot? Like, do they come to you and tell you that
are you just buying houses, or what are you doing?
Well, for me, yes, I bought homes for long-term rentals. Yeah, that's my strategy. That's part of my strategy, I should say. Some people like to do the short-term rental game, but for me, since I'm working full-time, I have family, I have run a nonprofit, so my time is scarce. I was running a karate class for a little while. So for me, I didn't want a lot of time spent. So for me, with the long-term rentals, a typical month, I basically do nothing other than pay my bills at the end of the month.
Yeah. So they're going to call you. They call you if the water heater breaks, right?
Right. If they have an issue, I usually get a note with a quote from my property manager, and I just say, okay. Or maybe I talk to my property manager, like, is there a way we can limp it along, or is there anything else we can do? And we figure out other solutions.
Oh, because you don't want to replace the whole roof right now?
Maybe not. Right? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe we find hey, the lease is going to end up in 2 months. Can we limp it along for 2 more months and then they move out, or are they going to renew? Right? There's a lot of different angles that you can go at this.
Okay, so for our listeners, are we saying you get started in life, you might have to rent a place to live, renting sucks because you're just paying an expense. You don't own anything. If you can get to where you can own a property, now you're not paying rent. You're paying your own mortgage so that you're getting some equity in that property. And if you own property, your net worth is going to go up.
Yes. Especially in California.
Yeah. So you're gonna gain wealth by getting into the property game. And I've said that many times, that your primary residence is the number one way that normal Americans can gain some wealth, right? So the number one way you can get ahead is if you can figure out how to get into your primary residence and own it. So that's great. And then are you talking about if you can figure out how to get your second and third properties and rent it to other people, now you're becoming the landlord, right? You're not you're not working 40 hours a week, you're owning stuff, and other people are paying you to live in your property, right?
Right. So at the basic level, like I try to tell people this, the main real estate philosophy that I have, at least, is what's the easiest way to, we'll just say $1 million, right? Nice round number. What's the easiest way to make $1 million in 30 years? Well, I borrow $1 million from the bank, 30-year term, but then I have somebody else pay off the loan for me. And in return, I give them a nice place to live. And that's really all I'm doing. So at the end of 30 years, I should have $1 million tax-free, really. Right. All the gains that because all they're doing is they're paying down my loan every month.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Right. And everybody says, oh, you're just gonna be a slumlord. No, I want people. I've had families, I've had medical students, young lawyers, right? I've had a gamut of tenants, and I just harken back to when I was renting. Like, I just wanted a nice place to live while I gained footing, right? We were young marrieds and we weren't making a whole lot of money, but give us a nice place to live.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're a slumlord unless you're taking advantage of the people that are renting from you, right? If you're screwing them over or providing something that's not a nice place to live, and you could be doing a lot better, then that describes a slumlord to me. I don't think you're a slumlord for being a landlord and for owning stuff and, like you said, giving people a nice place to live. Oh, did we lose Eric? Are we on a Zoom?
We'll see.
We'll see if our connection comes back.
And then I'll have to remember to pin him just in case.
Repin, yeah. He looks good in this frozen frame, though.
Let's check to see if our internet's still connected here. Oh, there. All right, I think I see you.
Hello?
Oh, now I hear you.
Okay.
Got it back.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
Sorry, we lost connection.
Okay, so Emmett was saying how he doesn't think you're some slumlord if you're just giving people a place to stay.
Yeah, I want to give people a nice place to live. I take care of it whenever something breaks. I try to take care of it as soon as possible.
Yeah, because I've rented a lot of places and a lot of times in my life. I mean, it wasn't a slumlord. I just needed an apartment or I needed a place to live, and so we used to rent a house in UTC, and it wasn't anything amazing, but it was 4 bedrooms and we paid the rent and they let us live there. So it was
exactly.
Let me play devil's advocate on both of you guys. I don't think the person who mentioned that you're a slumlord meant this, but is
we keep repeating it, people are going to think he's a slumlord.
All right, slumlord 1 and slumlord 2. So is two homes a non-scalable situation for any economy? Meaning, if you have 2 homes and you're renting out the second one, is that a non-scalable thing in America?
Oh, we can't all own 2 homes because then who would rent them?
Yeah.
Do you need to repin this or is it good?
I'll repin it.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So can everybody own 2 homes?
Yeah. I think so, because you're always going to have people who can only rent for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Maybe they're only here for a few years and then they're going to go back to a different country or a different part of the different state. they're young families and they have babies now, but the babies are going to grow, so they will need a bigger place. So they don't want to buy a place. There's various reasons, or maybe they work in visual effects and they don't have a solid job, so it could blow up at any moment, and they would have to move back to wherever they were from. So there's various reasons.
Yeah.
Emmett, you want to give you an answer to that at all?
What was the question?
Is it scalable? Should everyone own 2 homes?
I think what we're kind of approaching then is you have to be an ambitious person, right? The average person is going to buy whatever home they can afford and buy an 80-inch TV and subscribe to all the television shows and watch all the television shows and eat all the food and go out to eat and put stuff on the credit card and buy a nice purse, and I'm going to drive BMW because it feels great. And then I got to get it detailed, twice a week because you don't want a dirty ass BMW. So are you a spender? Are you spending every dollar you got, or are you a person that aspires to something more, right? So Erik clearly has a plan to how do I gather more wealth, right? How do I honestly, and by the rules of this system, how do I win this game?
And I think the first step is not to take the money you make from your job and then go buy the TV and go buy the car. Instead, you take that money and you buy an asset, and that asset grows, and then you take that money and buy your TV and you buy your car, right? So now the asset continues to roll, it continues to grow. But if you just buy the TV or the car straight out, you have nothing growing.
All right, Erik, how much was this good-looking T-shirt you're wearing?
I have no idea.
This is a $50 T-shirt.
No. To be honest, I buy all my clothes on eBay. I need a certain type of shirt. I just put a search for it.
Yeah.
And when it comes up under, let's say I want to pay $12.
Okay.
So if it comes up under $12, okay, that looks good. I'll buy it.
You're bidding your T-shirts on eBay in an auction format?
I don't even bid it. I just wait till it comes up as buy it now, or I'll make an offer. Like, oh, this guy wants 20. I'm going to offer 12, and if he doesn't like it, or I'll go to thrift shops a lot too.
Excellent.
Right. So you buy like a $50 shirt. Like I
was trying to catch you spending, but
I'm so happy about this. It's a good Asian thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm at the thrift shop with my daughter because she's looking for Halloween costume stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through the rack. I'm like, oh, here's a nice Banana Republic polo shirt. And it is practically brand new. Go up there. How much is this? It's $1. It's a freaking $1, right? So it was probably brand new at $40 at least.
Yeah.
And it cost me $1.
Wait, what was her costume? She was dressed up as a rich person?
No, she ended up dressing as a pirate.
With a polo shirt?
No. That polo shirt was for me.
Oh,
she was looking for like a white button down.
Gotcha.
And jeans and stuff.
An eye patch.
So I'm going to answer my devil's advocate question on should every person have 2 homes. I think I didn't. None of us did. We didn't create this economy, the system of printing money plus homes that go up in value. That's not something that we created. So if you're not doing it, hopefully if by you making the money that you have and it's not on the backs of others, as far as you know, then you should go buy a second house. You should think about your financial situation to better yourself, to put yourself in a situation that is financially sound, financially, I guess the trend term is financially independent. So I think if you can, then you should, as long as it's not on the back of others. If we go at a macro level, where I think America printing money and the power of America, it is on the backs of others, but we didn't create that.
That's a little deeper.
Yeah.
But it's funny though. Like I went to UCLA, and yes, we just won, beat our crosstown rivals today in football.
Wait, were you in film school?
No, I was an engineer. Yeah, I went to engineering school. But I go back to campus once in a while as an alumni mentor, and I talk to the students.
Nice.
And I they obviously want to know about the visual effects world. They want to talk about working at the
Yeah.
NFL and mobile apps and websites and all that stuff. But I tell them, like, you cannot just focus on your job. You just can't, right?
Mm.
You have to think about and think now how you are going to multiply what you've been given. Like when you finally start getting a paycheck, how are you going to multiply that other than just putting it in a savings account that gets what, like 0.5 or 0.6% interest?
Less than a percent. Yeah.
Yes.
Half of a percent.
Right. In which case you are not even keeping up with inflation.
Not today.
Yeah. So your dollar is now worth like 80 cents tomorrow or something like that next month. So you have to think about, and then I give them my unemployment story. Like this, I won visual effects awards and technical academy awards. And then I was unemployed all these other times. Like,
and now I'm buying dollar shirts from the thrift store.
And it's a good, like, you would never know, right? You would never know.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I often ask these days, like, what can you freaking buy for $1? Like, a Snickers bar ain't even. Is that the one that you get pissed off about?
Yeah. No. Was it Snickers? Yeah, I think Snickers bar. Yeah, it used to be 66. Well, back.
Oh, yeah, they're pushing $2 nowadays.
Yeah, 170, 160 or something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're smaller.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Shrinkage is
I
terrible.
know. And you're charging me more money?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture?
For the record, for our viewing audience, I got the shirt for free. So I win.
Free is even better.
Oh yeah, for our
You guys, so you guys need to make it big where people are paying you to wear their shirts.
yeah.
That's negative free. Wait, no, that's positive free.
Yeah. Also for our audio listeners, Eric's wearing looks like just a white T-shirt.
That's nice.
At least
it looks good.
Yeah, but if he got it, wait, oh no, it's a polo that you got for less than $1. It was a different shirt.
Yeah, it's back in my closet.
Yeah.
No, I thought this was like a swanky high-end shirt you were wearing.
No,
It's a V-neck.
and it's several years old too.
Oh, but you are good at visual effects, man.
For your is your property investment is there a name? Is just your name on it? The property investment
Coaching.
Yes. Yeah. It's just me.
Is it typically someone looking for a second home, or do you help people even that's searching for their first home?
It could be people searching for their first home. I've talked to a few people who are been renting their whole life, and they're in that dilemma. Oh, I don't make enough, and I can't save. And that's the other half of it, right? You can't save fast enough for a down payment because the prices keep going up faster than you can save. So we have to figure out a different plan. So that's why we go into the planning phase. But first, you have to get people out of this mindset, like, I will never be able to do this. Like, no, you can. Let's figure out how.
Yeah, I
just have to be more creative.
Literally felt that way in my 20s in San Diego, because I got my degree in accounting from San Diego State, and you start, you finish accounting school, you get your job, and you start thinking, oh, what's next, right? A lot of people buy a house in the traditional model, right? And I start looking around in San Diego, and I'm like, no, this math doesn't add up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, this is how much money I got bills to pay, and then I ain't got nothing left. So those are not cheap houses.
They're not.
Yeah,
they're definitely not.
I'll tell you this too. There's a very interesting thing. I was lucky to go to college, right? But I paid my way through at San Diego State. I was working 30 hours a week, and I got a little bit of student loans. There's some federal loans I got enough to get through college. And I had friends and people I knew, not a ton, but a few, where their parents helped them buy a condo while they're in college. And instead of paying rent, they're paying on this condo, but they own property right out the gate. And that's not even like a big generational wealth, like inheritance, right? They didn't inherit anything, but just that simple move of helping their kid buy a condo while they're in college. It's such an incredible head start. To just rate out, they're not even out of the gate yet. They're still in the gate, and they're getting this huge boost of starting that path to wealth. So, I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought, this fucking rich kid, his parents helped him buy a condo, right? But, instead of paying rent, I could have been paying on a condo somewhere.
Exactly. You could have had roommates, and they could have been helping you pay down the mortgage on that.
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah. So it was incredible because I didn't get to buy my first property till 37. You know, so how many years of appreciation lost, right? How many years of rent did I give to some other landlord?
Exactly.
I'll throw in my random story on that. As I went through the age of 21 through 28, working in software engineering, software engineering can be a very lucrative lucrative profession. For me, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I think I wanna say it was heightism, and people could battle me in the comments if you think it's ever if this is not true or whatever. But
I'll battle you.
So like I've had taller Asian friends and taller white friends, and we graduated college at the same time, same computer school. And for whatever reason, their salaries is always 20, 30, 40% higher than mine.
Wow.
And Emmett knew quite a few of them. And on some of them, he's like, man, you're a lot smarter in computers than that guy. Why is that guy getting paid so much more than you? At that time, this was many years later, being able to reflect and kind of try to extrapolate what was going on. At that time, I didn't know. I was just like, man, this kind of sucks. So anyways, the point of the story I was trying to get at was connecting to the home thing. I never thought I would ever be stable enough with enough money. I think the stable thing was something that always in the back of my head for whatever reason. Stable as in financially stable. Like I felt in IT and software engineering, I felt that I heard everyone in IT, I don't know if other professions are like this. In IT, it's typically every 2 to 3 years you want to do a lateral or
right.
Yeah, you want to do a movement.
Upward move. Right.
Yes, whether in the same company or to another company, you have to move to make your pay better.
To make the jumps.
Yeah, because the typical 3-5% raises, even in IT,
that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, in IT, you're usually going to get a 10, 20,000 boost if you jump companies every 2 years. But for me, that never happened. Never, ever. I went to interview at other companies, and those managers always would say, what are you currently making? And I felt like pinned, like I had to tell them the truth. A couple times.
Never tell them that.
That's something that I've kind of learned now.
No, you needed some coaching back then to tell you to lie.
Yeah. But also I felt even responsibility on the job. I felt the heightism was like I would do a really good job, but the manager would never ever give me more responsibility. Even a title promotion, I never got that. I had to fight so hard. So
yeah.
So
let me talk a little bit about that too, because I'm kind of in that situation where I'm moving from a senior level manager into director, and I'm working with C-level and VPs right now, and the coaching that I received is to back up a little bit, I think, speaking only for myself, I've grown up thinking if I kill it at my job, I take care of my team, and I just nail it, that I will get accolades for that, and I will be rewarded, and I'll get boosted up. That is so far from the truth. You have to also get exposure and get other people upwards to also recommend you, to know who you are, know what you're doing, right? So then I am being coached in terms of, okay, you need to set up meetings with this C-level officer, these VPs. Even if you don't work with them, that's okay, because when your name comes up or when a gap comes up in the organization, they will think of you because you are top of mind. If you're too deep in the weeds, just taking care of your own work, it'll be forgotten, right? It's just commonplace. Everybody just takes care of their own job and their own work.
Right. There's no recognition for not having problems.
Exactly.
So
and if you want to rise above that, you have to have exposure.
Is what you're talking about kind of like a strategy game or more like politics?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
Unfortunately. And to be honest with you, I'm not very good with the politics side of it. But I think the theory is sound, where these are the people who are making the decisions. And if they don't know who you are, how are they going to write your name in the blank line? They're going to think of the people who, again, come top of mind. And if it's not you, it'll be It'll be Tom. It'll be Nancy. It'll be all these other people who are not you.
So you need a good campaign.
Yeah, when I worked at the Cosmopolitan Casino, I was a software engineer, and that really resonates with me because that's what I did unknowingly. It's a very corporate environment where
Yes,
I'm a software engineer. There, I had my manager, they had their director, then a VP, then a C-level. There's often times where I knew there's gaps in the departments using my software, like this department that creates the offers for the guest spending $10,000 for this hotel reservation phone call, phone operator.
Oh yeah.
They weren't exactly talking to each other like, hey, we could get this offer to that person you're on the phone with. And I would see that. And I had I don't know if I want to say the balls to contact the director.
Oh, that's toxic masculinity. You gotta put your balls in this podcast.
I had the ovaries too.
Yeah.
I would contact the director directly and say, hey, I had this idea. If you just generated 250,000 offers, but this department doesn't know about it, we need to find a way to connect that.
Right.
And there were times where certain management would they would walk by and say, hey, why are you emailing that director? That's kind of outside of you should stay in your bubble. And I didn't realize that actually became it helped me a lot to every director knew me. And then,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but you're making a threat to the people immediately above you because you're jumping over their head.
There was a little bit of that.
Do you do it on purpose or?
No, well, it seemed like they weren't doing anything. So I don't. Well, no, they weren't.
You were definitely a threat.
I saw the gaps. I mentioned it to everyone, and they didn't really push it. So I'm like, well, if you're not going to help, then I'm going to start jumping around. But
Yeah.
jumping around as in jumping layers of the bubble
Of the org chart.
Yeah, of the org chart. So I think like you're saying, be a go-getter and then try to make those connections if you can. Yes, I probably
Made some enemies.
I probably could have put some Kindle on some bridges doing that, but I think it worked out. My managers, they seemed to. I actually, that's maybe something that didn't light the fire. It was some Kindle, but it never lit the fire. Was that every time I did mention to my managers and directors, I said, hey, I got this plan and I contacted this director. They're down. Are you down? Here, you could get involved this way. So they would still get a piece of the pie. So
Sure. And you're completely transparent.
Yeah.
Right? You weren't trying to backstab anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help here, really. And I think that's what it is. You go to these VPs and these C-level officers and just like, how can I help you? What do you need that you are missing?
Yeah.
And let me figure it out.
Yep.
So you were shooting fireworks rockets that with a lot of wooden bridges around.
Yeah.
I used to have this expression. We'd talk about burning bridges. And it's like, that guy has fucking fire shoes. He's burning the bridge as he's walking across it. He didn't even get across yet. He's already lighting the bridge up.
At that, in that same company, I don't know really if I don't have a point for the story, but the VP of IT, I didn't like him. He seemed like he was so focused on money. He was willing to chop heads so quickly. And I was actually ended up almost being one of those heads within like a month. I got word from, this is so many years ago, I don't think I could get him in trouble, but a manager told me he wasn't allowed to tell me that my head was about to get chopped, as in I was about to lose my job. He knew that VP was going to let me go. So he gave me.
And you took that personally.
As in,
you almost got chopped, man.
Well, I didn't at the time. The manager was really kind. He's like, "Hey, maybe you should look for another job. Hey, maybe you should look for another job." Yes. Anyway, I didn't. So the point of I guess the story I'm trying to make is that VP of IT that he was high up there. I didn't like him, and I didn't play game. I probably, if I wanted to, I could have played the game with him and said, "Hey, what do you need? What do you need? Right. What can I help you with?" But he was so selfish and so evil. In my opinion, I didn't even want to play a game with that. So I don't know. Maybe a lesson learned is if you want to keep your job, maybe maybe you gotta
manipulate evil people.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But even if they're not evil, right? It is just, this is the irony, right? Our school system teaches us that if we're in the classroom, if we show up, the school gets money. It's a good thing. With a company, with an organization, you being there costs the company money. So if you are not bringing in more value compared to your salary, then you are really easy to cross out. Or if you are easily replaced by somebody who is cheaper than you, you are easy to cross out. And I think my unemployment past has really shown how that's true.
I think you bring up a great point there, because I grew up really good at multiple choice tests. And so I kind of cakewalked through school. I'd study a little bit, but I could always nail the test, right? And that's basically how you pass every class, right? You got a multiple choice test, right? So all the way through college, I'm nailing these tests. I'm great at SATs. I'm great at anything that's got A, B, C, or D. I can figure it out. Like I'm good, right? So going through school, I thought I'm usually the smartest guy in the class. Like if I ain't, then I'm not too far from the smartest guy in the class. So obviously I'm going to walk out of school and life's going to be really good. Like I'm going to make a ton of money and things are going to be really easy because, I'm a smart dude here, right? So, but it wasn't like that at all because there's so many other factors that are not, like you say, performance-based or just doing the task in front of you.
Exactly. And you could do it great, but somebody in New York in an office can just decide, hey, this whole department, we could replace them with these contractors and it'll cost us half.
Indians. Sorry, it's usually Indians or Filipinos. No? In India.
No, I think you're right. I don't want to admit to it. Okay. So kind of near and dear to your heart, I believe, on your bio, Erik, is kind of the school system isn't correctly prepping our youth for the workforce. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was actually writing something similar where, like, you could do the bare minimum, you could do below the bare minimum, and then you end up getting promoted. Like, how does that translate to the real world?
Yeah.
Right. In the real world, you could kill it and not get promoted because the budget's not there or some political, we promised Jenny to, she would get this position before you type of thing. It's just different in that regards. Like, and as I said, if you're at school, the organization, the company gets rewarded for your seat, right? They get paid federal money. What else is there? Or you could do great, right?
Yeah.
You could be a great student, be valedictorian, go to a great college, internships and all that stuff. And that does not translate to success in the real world. Because as we just said, you could do a great job at your job.
Mm-hmm.
You will just top out. I think that's what that part of what that bamboo ceiling is that we keep hearing about. It's just that we haven't been trained to make those connections with people that we don't interact with on a day-to-day basis.
Do we need to start drinking and playing golf with the executives? Is that what we need to do?
Maybe.
The question is, what do white people do, and just do it with them?
Yeah, they play golf, drink, watch football. I've been to their parties. They eat deviled eggs a lot.
I think you had a saying in corporate America, something you get promoted to your least to your incompetence. You get promoted.
I didn't invent that. I read that somewhere. You get promoted to your level of incompetence, right? So if you do good at something, you can move up. But there's a point at which you can't handle the job, but then you're in this job, so you have everybody getting risen to the point they can't handle. And then you have all the positions full of incompetent people. Is the idea behind that flow chart.
There's some truth to that, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I feel like in my software engineering career, I've seen that where you get like a coder that's really good at coding, but a lot of time coders don't like to deal with other humans. That's just coders.
Right. Yeah.
We're that way. Or most of them are that way. I'm quite a bit more extrovert than them. But so I've seen cases where a good coder gets promoted to like a lead, and then then he's still doing a decent job, and then they try to promote him to, a senior, then to a lead. So he gets promoted to a senior. He does great. Then they want to put him as a lead, but now he has to take care of the 8 or 20 employees underneath, and it starts to fall apart.
Well, now that's a people job. It's not a coding job, right?
Yes. Right.
And I think the level, because then they get there, the problem, they get there and they do a really shit job, and the 20 people, 8 people below really hate this lead.
Right, exactly.
So he's got promoted, and he probably won't get promoted further up there. So he's gotten promoted to his level of incompetency.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to talk about the bamboo ceiling more. Is that I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only half Asian, so I don't get all the.
So you get the half bamboo.
Yeah.
Only half bamboo for you. But no, it's basically, right, we've heard the glass ceiling. At least that was the term I heard growing up, and how you can see it, but you can't get through it.
Yeah.
So bamboo is specifically for the Asian American community, where we're topped out. We can't get to the executive levels for whatever reason. And I think we've talked about some of the reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the reality of what we're seeing. We don't, like, you look at all the top tech companies and look at their the demographics. Right? Look at the demographics of their companies, and then look at the demographics of their executive levels.
Yeah.
And they're widely different.
Yeah. So, isn't the mayor of Boston just got elected as a Taiwanese heritage?
Yeah, she's Asian American.
Yep. Yeah. So that's awesome that she got elected to mayor of Boston. That's a big city. That's not like mayor of a podunk little thing.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of exceeding success, right? Or high achievement. So are we saying in corporate America that we're not seeing Asian Americans are being held down a little bit? Is it just the tall white male thing? I mean, if it's just tall white males, then everybody's going to have a ceiling that ain't a tall white dude, right?
I don't know if it's height necessarily. I mean, gender might be part of it. I do know a few organizations that are heavily white male oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a bad pun, but anyhow.
You choose your orientation.
Yeah.
I have one of my college buddies, his brother, I forget, finance major or something. So they went to a corporate job. So his brother and his friend, his buddy went gray early. Like he's like 25, but he's starting to go gray. And they promoted him to like a super high, like some kind of, a great corporate position. And then when they realized how young he was, like, oh shit, like they wanted to take the promotion back.
Right.
Because there was an ageism implied, right? They assumed he was in his late 30s because of the color of his hair. But like, oh fuck, this guy's 25. But the insanity of that is it shows how vapidly they awarded the promotion. Like it wasn't based on anything he did, apparently, right? It had to have been based entirely on the look. So that's such an odd. That
is wild.
It's such an odd idea for us because we think that our promotions are performance based, right? We
think
that our good work gives us our promotions.
You would think.
Yeah. But that was such a glaring example of somebody getting promoted on appearance.
I almost want to say this all goes down to how stupid humans are, because whether it be aged, skin color, sex, gender, it seems like people. Okay, so for me, when I have a conversation with anybody, I let their words dictate how I feel about them. Like if they say something stupid and they say something racist, then of course I'm gonna.
That's a stupid racist.
Yeah, exactly. If they start saying a lot of smart things, then I'll start to think that's a pretty intelligent person that I want to continue a conversation with.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if they're black, female,
why is black
Asian,
always first?
White. It doesn't matter. I try to judge them based on that. So I think jumping to the that a company, a senior management would promote somebody based on their ageism. So I think that's all connected. People just are stupid and they judge things too quickly. They are too prejudiced on age, skin color, sex.
I have a complaint, Lim. I think Hispanics are underrepresented on your show. We never talk about Spanish speaking peoples of the world.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can bring one on. I can bring on one of my partners in our nonprofit.
We need to get some vatos up in here.
Well, we've had
is that too far?
We've had Yoli, she's Mexican. We had Norma, who's Ecuadorian. We've had.
Oh, I was just saying all our examples are about blacks, whites, and Asians.
Oh yeah.
Indians and Filipinos. Got some Hawaiians.
I might start just saying minorities then.
Oh,
to
yeah.
encompass it all.
Oh, all right. Hispanic and non-Hispanic minorities.
Yes.
I don't understand why there's different category. Like there's these like census deals.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't know why we have to check a different box just for that.
I think even Norma brought some of that up, as in, it is so. Say I think on some of the paperwork it would say, was it Spanish? No, Mexican. I forget what it was.
No, on most of them it's like you choose your ethnic origin, and then after that is another one for Hispanic or non-Hispanic.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's a separate category.
well, like
Mathematically, I don't understand it.
for her, she feels it's unfair for her to be Ecuadorian, and then so many people like, oh, you're Mexican. So
Yeah.
to her, that hurts when that
Well, I
comes
should
up.
say non-Mexican then. Non-Mexican Hispanic.
So you want to add more to the checkboxes? So, yeah, I don't know. It is. I understand a bit of her pain. I could sympathize for it, but it's a tough situation. I don't know.
Sorry, I feel like I've derailed Erik's conversation. Eric is a wealth of knowledge and inspiration, and I'm making it stupid here.
That makes it more fun.
All right. So what else? So you're currently coaching for Real Estate Wealth. You're also working at
Sony,
Sony Funimation, right?
Yeah.
tell me a bit about the Sony then. So that's just they acquired Crunchyroll.
Yes.
And then so what's your role there, and what's that all about?
Ooh, okay. So I am a program manager there. My current project is with brand unification. So we are trying to merge. So
There's two
stepping
brands.
back a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, even before Crunchyroll, Funimation has acquired other anime streaming platforms around the world.
Ah.
Right? So, for instance, we have Anime Lab, which is in Australia and New Zealand. So we want to rebrand that and bring them into Funimation. So that is a project that I am leading, and then I run the payments team as well.
Oh, you got to subscribe to get all these cool animes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your personal opinion on as anime as a culture? It felt like probably the early 2000s there was kind of it kind of grew in popularity, and I feel like it kind of went down, and it's coming back up. Does that?
No, you just got older.
Okay. Is it? what's your outtake on that, Eric?
Well, I grew up with anime back in like the 80s, right? So I'm retro vintage anime fan. I think with the more recent popularity of anime, it has to do more with how they're really trying to bring together various different people groups, right? Like at Funimation, we have our saying is we want everybody to belong, to feel like they belong somewhere.
Ah.
And so when you go to these anime expos or conventions, you have people with just a wide array of backgrounds, but they're all connected by their favorite shows or their favorite movies in anime. And the stories, the characters just have this wide swath of types, right? It's going back to media, right? It's not the typical superhero genre where the hero always gets the girl.
Yeah.
Anime is very different in that regard. Very different storylines, very different characters, and people attach themselves to those differences. So
Is
anime
anime
is a place, anime is a place where they can all feel like they're connected.
is it a huge growing world right now? Is it booming?
Oh, totally.
Anime?
It's huge. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wait, do you have an awesome cosplay outfit?
I wish I did. No. I
Oh, bro, you're faking the funk.
No, I am not the cosplay type. I'm not the Halloween.
Isn't that hand in hand with the anime? Isn't that?
You would think. We have some people who are huge and really good at it and spend a lot of time and effort.
I'm gonna
I'd rather-
recommend you you go get a cosplay so that you can have real street cred with everybody.
I'd rather help you buy investment property so that you can have the money to buy your cosplay outfit or material.
Wait, did you guys ever watch Outlaw Star? That was one that I had a buddy that was watching that a lot. Didn't Min used to watch Golden Boy? Was that a stupid one?
I think
Is that a goofy one?
Yeah, super goofy. It was just a teenage boy, super horny, and always would.
He was like the Benny Hill of anime.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a teenage boy Benny Hill anime.
Those perverted Japanese.
Jumping to Shang-Chi and Black Panther, do you think by chance the anime society has had a Shang-Chi or Black Panther moment?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't think there are many black characters in anime, unfortunately. That should probably change. Actually, there's a production company that's owned and run by people of color, and they're putting out anime content with black characters.
Black anime?
So they are doing it.
That's crazy, yo.
Yeah, so people are seeing where the gaps are, and they're trying to fill it.
Wait, was Alita the Battle Angel? Was that originally an anime?
I think that was originally a graphic novel.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm trying to see a anime that crossed over into mainstream.
What's the closest? Probably the.
Well, Aeon Flux. Oh, that doesn't count, does it? Or is that the same vibe?
I would say Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably the closest.
That's the big one? Avatar.
Okay.
That's my thought, because it's an anime style, but it was an American production.
Okay. So will we see a feature film in the anime style in the U.S. here?
I hope so.
That's a blockbuster.
Well, I mean, you had Transformers.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I would love to see Macross in a live action.
Yeah.
I think we have the technology to do it. I just think it's probably all about licensing and money and rights.
Macross is a giant robot thing?
It does. It has giant robots.
Okay. I'm in.
Okay.
Sold.
Is that
It's a space opera, basically.
Yeah,
it's love story, and
it's got everything.
if you had to guess why that anime doesn't have a big feature film, what do you think are some of the missing pieces? As in, is it
You need to put Brad Pitt in it.
Or
Tom Cruise.
Or is it not big enough on YouTube, or is it
young people don't have as much money?
I think it's big enough. I think it's big enough. I just think it's probably stuck with somebody who wants to make it, and whoever owns the rights wants more money. That's my guess. Because I think it all comes down to the rights and the licensing.
Yeah.
Somehow or another.
Gotcha. So if I go to Funimation, is it Funimation.com? Is that what I'm interacting with? Okay. And then I go on there and I want to subscribe to watch all these animes.
And there's a free service if you want 10 million ads. So there's an ad service and there's a subscription service.
It's a perfect place for cosplay ads. No? Am I wrong? Or don't all cosplays come from anime stuff? Or am I off?
Oh, it's video games and anime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to think of any other what it pulls from cosplay.
I gotta make sure my understanding is on point because I'm an old guy. I gotta figure this shit out.
I'm sure all the Marvel superheroes is part of cosplay now.
Oh yeah.
DC.
So do you
all
need
the Comic Cons?
Do you need a convention to do cosplay, or is there another place where you would wear a cosplay costume?
We have somebody. I have a coworker who she did a history of anime presentation along with a history of Funimation because she's been at the company for quite a while.
Yeah.
And she dressed up as in a cosplay to do her presentation.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was fantastic. Yeah.
All right.
It was so good.
Well, that's because you're at Funimation, right?
Sure. But when I hired somebody and I said, hey, you have to watch this video. It'll give you a background on Funimation and anime, and it's given by this person. And
nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
What was it like working on at the NFL? Kind of. I mean, you mentioned that you had those big 6'5" football players
they're
going
huge.
through.
Yeah, I was tiny.
What
The women were taller than I was.
was it?
The women that like football players.
Was it still a very corporate environment, or how? Just kind of your experience.
I think it was corporate, probably the level above me, but not necessarily with the teams I was working with. So I was working with the engineering team or the creative team, product. I had account managers with the club sites, so with the teams. I love my colleagues that I worked with. They were great. I didn't have to interact too much with the levels above, so I didn't really get that corporate feel.
I'll tell you this about NFL players. It's a selection process where, like, to be on the high school football team, you got to be one of the biggest dudes, right? And then to get recruited into a college, you're one of the biggest dudes in high school football. And then to be at the best colleges where the NFL drafts out of, you're the biggest motherfuckers around, like 1 out of 1,000 biggest dude that hasn't injured out from playing this rough sport, right? You start banging heads and crashing into people and tackling. Most people injure out unless you're the biggest, strongest dude with the biggest bones and the biggest ligaments, and and you can withstand injury and fight through it. And these giant rhinoceros human beings are just gigantic. Like, so I'll see them like in this context in Vegas casinos.
Oh, sure.
And then you're just blown away by, I've never seen anybody this fucking big before. It's like every part of him is gigantic.
And they're super fast, right?
Yeah.
Super agile on top of it. But they're super nice guys.
Yeah.
Like everybody I was able to meet, super, super nice guys.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Wait, you didn't meet Ndamukong Suh, did you?
I did not. No.
Oh man,
He probably would have kicked me.
I hear Aaron Rodgers is not a nice guy either. People tell me he's unpleasant.
Interesting. Did not meet him.
I'm after you, Aaron Rodgers, you son of a bitch.
So in your visual FX stuff, you wrote down Stepmom Julia Roberts digital ring. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. Okay. So when we got that project, I was wondering, what the heck are we doing on Stepmom? What visual effects are we doing on this? So it turns out that there's a scene in there where Julia Roberts, I don't know, she scratches her nose or she does something with her hand, and whoever was the set person did not give her engagement ring. Because at this point in the film, she was engaged or married, one of those. So we had to digitally put on this ring on her in order for it to have the continuity in the film.
That's the industry word, continuity. Because you film the scenes all out of order and in different places, and
yes,
and then you got to
piece them together and then make the lighting look like it's all shot at the same time.
Yeah.
Have you watched Stepmom, and then do you see any errors that you guys made?
That I don't know. I will say, so when we did the first Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, we got to see a preview screening of that for the cast and crew.
Yeah.
So we watched that, and it's a great movie. It was probably one of my favorite projects with the final movie. But that movie was one where we originally had the entire scope of the film, like all the visual effects shots. And then what they ended up doing was they ended up cutting back the amount of work that we did and started farming it out to other places. So then when we saw the final cut, there are certain scenes you're like, wow, who did that? That doesn't
That's
look
terrible.
Like it very well. Yeah. So I had a few of those feelings sitting through that.
Hey, there's talk of like when you use guns on set, right? John Wick, there's a ton of guns, right?
Sure.
But there's talk of if you you can use digital gunfire.
John Wick did? Yeah.
Yeah. Are the visual effects good enough now that it's indistinguishable to the audience? That
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole point of Life of Pi, right? People couldn't tell which tiger was real and which was CG. Then you knew you did your job. Or one of my buddies was the visual effects supervisor on some of the John Woo American movies.
Yeah.
I think Broken Arrow and Face Off.
Face Off.
Yeah. I was I mean, I was a huge John Woo film or movie buff from his Chinese movies. So I was asking him, hey, what was it like working with John Woo? And he was like, doesn't say very much. He was saying how when they sat and watched the shot and he would look at it and go, so what did we do on this again? They would know, okay, we're done. We're fine on the shot.
Dude, Face Off was a crazy movie. I couldn't tell who was Nicolas Cage and who was John Travolta. Hey, everything we've talked about reminds me of my old favorite movie. It was called The Returner. I think it was Japanese, but it was a weird knockoff of The Matrix.
Really?
Yeah, it was like so bad it was fantastic. But if you ever get a chance to find an old movie called The Returner, I highly recommend it. I'm gonna go find it now and watch it again. I have to find it on VHS or DVD or something.
Do you happen to have a cringe worthy special effects that you've worked on, and then on the flip side, it's something that you're really proud of?
No, he only does awesome things.
Can you name one of each?
Visual
wouldn't have let it out the door if it was terrible.
Sometimes I'll tell, like with my software, like if a manager cuts something out of, like I tell them, hey, this module is going to take 4 weeks to do.
Yeah. And
they try to say, hey, we need it in a week. Well, you're going to lose something out of that.
You're going to get the 1 week version.
Yeah.
No, you're asking him to call out his least proud.
No, I'm trying to think of it. So you want an actual shot that we worked on that I wasn't very proud of?
Yeah. And
what insult to the movie-going audience are you responsible for?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an actual shot that we did. I know, like the final movies, there were some that just I didn't care for. Like when we went to the screening for Scooby-Doo. I was not happy with that movie. Here's the funny thing is we ended up working on many, what are they called? Raspberries? Are they called raspberries? But it's basically the Oscars, but on the opposite side.
Oh, Razzies?
Right? Razzies, thank you.
All right.
Yes. So yeah, we worked on like Battlefield Earth, Cat in the Hat. I think Scooby was on there. Geely was another one. So several films.
There's computer graphics in Geely.
There were.
Okay.
Right? There's a sequence where there's a beach scene where the main character, is hallucinating with this beach sequence.
Yeah.
Okay. And it fades in and out with this tunnel sequence. I don't know. I don't remember it.
All right. So you spent many hours looking at J-Lo's booty on a computer screen.
Yeah. We spent many hours working on movies that were awful. Like the first Daredevil with Ben Affleck. Elektra was another one. I think those all got panned.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the special effects are, not why they were a bad movie.
Sure. Yeah. They were doomed in many other ways.
How about which one are you really proud of? Which special effects that you worked on?
Life of Pi obviously is a one that really comes out because visually it was stunning, and then also to know all the work that went into it, and then also being on the technology support end, since it was in 3D, we had to do a left eye and a right eye, so we had to double the amount of content.
Wow!
In order to produce that movie. So in terms of number of shots, size of the project or scope of the project, the complications that we ran into. Yeah, it was, that was definitely one of them. In terms of a final movie though, I mentioned Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. The first Chronicles of Narnia was one of my favorites. X-Men 2, I mentioned that. I will say Alvin and the Chipmunks 2 was one of my favorites.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why, because we did the first one and it was cute. It was nostalgic. People loved Alvin and the Chipmunks. And then I found out we're doing the second one.
Yeah.
Like, what a money grab. And then I remember walking in and seeing we were doing a test with Beyonce and the Chipettes doing their dance. And I'm watching this like, oh my gosh, this is so good. It was amazing. Right. And I didn't do that work. It was the modelers who did this. But to be able to take Beyonce and take her moves and put it into a CG Chipette was fantastic. And I loved it, and I really enjoyed that second movie.
I did not expect that gold to come out of this conversation. That's a whole nother world.
You wrote down a story of us digitally composing 2 scenes.
Yeah, that was a funny. So that one was Bruce Willis. I think Betty White was in that one. So there's one sequence where they're on a bed. So Bruce Willis, and I forget who the female lead is. So it's a married couple, and then both of their parents. So there's 6 people on this bed, and it's like a dream sequence. So they're on this bed and they're talking and dancing. And again, when we got this project, I'm like, what are we doing on this?
Yeah.
We're not doing any explosions or spaceships or anything. What are we doing? So it turns out that the director really, really liked certain takes with these actors, but not these.
I see.
And then he liked other takes with these actors, but not these. So we had to bring in both, splice them, and then bring them together, and then again make it look like it was shot all in one continuous shot.
That's interesting.
So those are things that, like, I don't know if you saw Joker. Joker's a movie that you don't think of, Batmobile or anything blowing up like that, spaceships, nothing, no CG animals, right? But had a lot of CG in it, and that's the beauty of it, or that's the irony of it, where if it's done so well, you don't even realize it's there.
Yeah.
And that's when you've done a really, really good job.
It's when people don't know your work.
Exactly. So that's the irony of it, right?
When you mentioned Scooby-Doo earlier, and maybe I saw this funny meme. It was like Fred's always sending off Shaggy and Scooby, like, we'll split up. You guys go that way. I'll hang out with the chicks.
You also wrote bedazzled ending sequence.
The bedazzled ending sequence. So I think the original cut, the director, when they finally played it all together, didn't like the ending. So he actually got, I think the actress was Elizabeth Hurley, actually got her to fly out to reshoot the ending, and then we had to redo the ending with the movie
to put her into the new ending. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. So what happens a lot, and you don't realize it, is a lot of times they will greenlight a project without the script actually being completed. Or in this case, the script was completed, they shot it, put it all together, and then didn't like it, and so did retakes, or in this case, a whole new ending that they had to shoot and post-produce.
I wish somebody would give me a multi-million-dollar budget to start making a movie without a script yet. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I wish people would just give me multi-million dollars.
Yeah.
I know.
And not having a completed script is not too far from not having a plan.
All right, Eric, let's say you're in Hollywood. Somebody walks up and says, "Hey man, I got a $50 million budget. Go make a movie." What
Ooh, man.
I know you're not a movie. I know you're specialized, but
Right.
you're in the business. This is your fantasy now. What movie would you go make if somebody handed you a giant check?
Oh man, that's tough. Can I make the Macross movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would sell. I really do.
Nice.
Because you've got transforming robot jets. You've got a romance, right?
Yeah.
You've got pop music. It's got everything. It's got
it all.
politics. Yeah.
All right.
Who would you hire for the male lead role and the female lead role?
Oh, geez.
What studly Asian romantic?
I don't know who that is.
Good looking son of a
Don't say Chris Evans.
Because Rick Hunter, if you want to be true to it, Rick Hunter is like a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah. There's some buff 19-year-olds, man.
Elijah Wood.
No.
No.
So in that case, maybe you go unknown, right? Maybe you find a new fresh face to bring in, and maybe you hire James Earl Jones to be like the admiral, right?
Is he still alive?
Somebody.
He's still around?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Is Squid Games good for the Asian American in entertainment cause? It's the most popular thing in the world, right?
It is. And I watched it, and I didn't love that either.
Yeah. No, but the Asian wins.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, except for the other 456 that got shot in the head.
Only.
Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
that one was funny because the only guy I felt like I could root for was the Indian dude, right?
Pakistani.
Yeah, Pakistani guy, right? I didn't feel like rooting for anybody else.
Oh, you hated all the other characters.
I did.
That's funny. That it is a very weird dystopian kind of.
It is. Yeah, I didn't.
All right, not the stereotypical hero movie.
Oh, it wasn't a hero movie at all.
Okay, so we need to do an Asian lead Macross like Top Gun from the 80s.
Oh, that would be cool.
We need it to be that awesome.
Or as I said, an Asian James Bond.
Oh,
Asian James Bond. Is there any Asian movies that you could think of that portray that same thing, but so they would only need
Crazy Rich Asians, suave and sophisticated.
I'll have to watch it, I guess.
Drinks martinis.
Yeah,
Good with gadgets. Just fucking around. Sorry, guys.
You wrote unnamed project when lead threw a tantrum on set. What's that about?
Yeah, how do I do this without implicating anybody? But yeah, we had a project where it was on location. They had pulled permits. And in Los Angeles, it's not easy, right? You have to go through the whole permitting process. You have to bring out the police.
Shut down the streets.
Right. Traffic control, the whole nine. So they did all that for, I believe, a week in this somewhat remote location, not too far off. And somebody had misplaced the lead's engagement ring.
Oh. And
that lead, the rumor was, threw a tantrum and walked off the set.
Lost their shit.
2 days, right?
Ooh.
So 2 days out of a 1 week shoot. And I thought it was just a rumor, right? But it was substantiated by the visual effects producer in meeting. So I was, it's just, it surprises you, but it kind of doesn't. Right? You hear these stories and you're like, oh, that can't be true. And you realize, no, it is.
So you're saying it's unreasonable, like a normal person should be like, that totally sucks, but I still have to do my job and not screw up this whole production. Is that...
Yeah, to think that this person held up how many hundreds of people and how many thousands of dollars for what? And because it ended up turning up, right? Somebody found it eventually. And it's just sad that, like, if any of us did that, I think we'd be fired on the spot.
Well, you can't if you're the star.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, Liam, if you just said, oh, I'm not going to code this because
somebody ate my noodles.
Somebody didn't. Yeah, somebody ate my lunch out of the.
Sorry, that's racist. Somebody ate my hot dog.
Right? Or somebody took my pencil. I think you'd be fired.
Yeah. Is that part of the crazy derangement of somebody who's such a big star that you begin to have, like, the world revolves around you? And
I think so.
In a way, a big movie production revolves around you, right? You want, I need a crazy expensive trailer, and I need assistants, and I need a special diet, and I need everything pampered and catered to me like a crazy royalty kind of situation. Is that?
Well, I think to a certain degree, it's part of marketing, right? You hire a top face and name, and it markets itself. Because it's a huge risk if you bring on an unknown.
Yeah. When you have Tom Cruise as your star, then there's a certain credibility to that movie, right?
You're going to bring in a certain amount of dollars just based on the name.
Yeah.
Period.
Earlier, you mentioned a nonprofit that you're working with. What is that? Do you want to talk about that? Or?
Absolutely. I'd love to. It's Baja Missions. And as I was saying, if you need a Mexican dude to come on your show, I've got one. I've got a tall, handsome-looking Mexican dude. He'll crack up that I mentioned that.
Gente.
But no, what we do is we go into this community down in Mexico. just south of San Diego. It's about 2.5 hours south of San Diego. And we have a connection with the community down there, and we find families in need, and we find out their story, build them a house. And when I say we build them a house, it's not anything you would see in the US. It is a concrete slab. It is 2 small rooms, a living room, and then a lofted space above. It's there's no running water. We wire it for electricity, but there's no electricity in these areas. Most of the families we meet are migrant farmers. A good number of them are indigenous in Mexico. So they don't even speak Spanish necessarily. The children may, because they're going up in school.
Wow.
So they speak their native language, which...
They're Mayans or what? Are they Aztec?
I don't know. Well, they call the language Mixteco.
Okay.
But I don't know what they call their people group.
Yeah.
And what's funny is they don't even have a word for Americans. They call us, they're the people from the other side.
Ah.
Kind of like this.
You're like
Stranger
space
Things.
Aliens.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. Stranger Things, as soon as they said that, we're from the other side.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, we build them a house, and then we try and find kids who have, I don't know, for lack of a better term, the it factor, right? These are kids who have nothing going for them. They're doing their homework by candlelight, and once they hit middle school, they will be pulled out of school because it costs money to send them to public school. And they're going to go work in the fields, and they're going to have to make money for the family so we can eat.
Yeah.
And that is the life cycle that they have. And then by the time they're in high school, they get pregnant, and then they rinse and repeat. So what we try to do is, first thing is we try to build them a house so babies are not dying from lung infections, from sleeping on dirt. And then we try to keep them in school, get the parents to agree, you're not going to make as much money, but we will pay for your kids to go through middle school, high school, and college.
Wow.
And it changes their lives forever. So we went down there back in October, and we went with some families that we're going to be building for later on this year. But we also got to meet with, I call them kids, but they're young adults now, right?
Yeah.
These are the first generation who made it through that education program. And the first of which is a doctor. She went through medical school, became a doctor, and is now at a clinic down there.
Wow. She went full blow. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them, they're nurses, they're working in offices, they're getting married, and now they're having children as young adults, right? They have homes, and it's awesome. Like that, we have an opportunity to change lives forever and generations. So if I can pitch that one, if you go to bahamissions.org, you can find out more about that, and you can help support us with that organization.
Yeah. Is there any element of, are you changing their culture then? Is there, I'm a fan of modernization, right? I want everybody to participate in this amazing modern world. Are you just giving them opportunities, or is there no loss of their, is there a situation so bad that there's nothing to lose in terms of keeping an old lifestyle or keeping an old culture?
There's a bit of that, because they're in a place where, again, no electricity. They're only now learning about the internet because of remote school, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Before that, they would have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe because the smartphones are coming out and they can have data programs, plans, and they can have access to the internet. But before that, they had no idea that there is such wondrous technology out there.
Yeah.
So they're slowly learning. But in terms of, do they want to keep any of what they had before? Maybe in terms of the some of the cultural practices, right? Maybe family traditions and that sort of thing, which is huge. Like we go down there, and when we meet with these families, they're like, that whole mikasa sukasa, right? My home is your home.
Yeah.
Is absolutely true. Like they say that every time we go down. We try and visit the families a few times during the year. We go back and we say how they're doing.
Yeah.
We bring them, we go grocery shopping. We bring them food,
Nice.
gifts, stuff. But yeah, in terms of the people group, come on in to our home, make yourself at home. Is there anything I can, give? Are you hungry, thirsty, anything like that?
Wait, how do you communicate if they don't even speak Spanish?
So the families that still speak Mixteco, we have to bring. Well, usually the kids are bilingual, right? So the kids are growing up with Mixteco and speaking Spanish.
Okay.
And then our director is Spanish speaking. He's Mexican, so he can speak Spanish and it gets translated.
Gotcha.
But it's wild when you don't have anybody who speaks Spanish around. So then you have to go from English to Spanish to Mixteco.
Yeah.
You have to do this telephone
Yeah.
game to try and communicate.
That's something else.
All right, I'm going to walk us into the final question section.
Final questions.
First question, what great daily habit or habits do you have?
Great daily habits. So this drives my wife crazy, the fact that I have a pretty set night routine and a pretty set morning routine. So my evening routine, basically, just like anybody else, right? I'm going to shower, brush my teeth, get ready for bed, and then go to bed. But I do it pretty much at the same time every day. And then when I get up in the morning, I'm getting up pretty much every morning. During the weekday, I'm always in the stock market, right? That's the other thing I'm doing.
Wait, are you going to bed at 8:23 p.m.?
No, I go to bed 11:30 p.m. or so, and I get up around 7:30 in the morning. I don't get up as soon as the market is open.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I used to, and then I just realized I don't need to. I can be a little bit more strategic in that.
Gotcha.
But I want to see what the market is doing, and I'm active in the market every day.
Yeah.
So I will do that for 20, 30 minutes. And then at that point, maybe I take care of the dog, and then I have to start my work day, right? I've got meetings, I've got email to get through, Slack messages, and all these things. And then continuing on into the evening, right? 3 days a week, I'm in the gym. I have my gym in my garage.
Nice.
So I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to wait for anybody. Can I work in with you? I got to wipe off the sweat. It's my sweat.
Yeah.
So I've got my own gym in my garage. Once a week, I've got a guy who comes by and we hit the bags together, right? So I'm keeping up my martial arts and my striking. Saturday mornings, I'm throwing the football around with friends. During the pandemic, I was like, what can I do? This is driving me crazy. So we go out, and at first we were just throwing, 2-3 of us would just run routes. And now we actually D-up against one another, and we're doing one-on-ones.
Oh, so this is something you could do from 6 feet away, is what you're thinking, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't breathe on the ball and go long.
Exactly. And that's the only way I run. I hate running. Can't stand it.
But I'll run a go route.
Yeah, if you make me chase the ball or make me chase somebody else, I'll do it.
To the post. Nice.
Next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
I know very little of crypto, so I pretty much stay away from it. I know a lot of people, actually some people on my engineering team who are really into it. But I myself, I stick to the blue bloods, or whatever you call them, the knowns, right? The big dogs.
What are the ways you would say that a regular person can grow wealth? It looks like you're into real estate and stocks, right? So
those are mine. Like, honestly, I would get a coach, and I know that sounds so cliche and I'm selling it, but I think it goes to, do you want to make a big, rapid, accelerated jump into it? Or do you want to take the time and go through YouTube videos and read blogs and learn it all yourself, which is going to take you, 5, 10, 20 years to learn all the mistakes and then dig yourself out of them? if you have a coach who's been there, done that, and can accelerate you through in 1 year, 2 years, I mean, just think of the growth that you can get in the beginning, and then how much more valuable that'll be 10, 20 years down the road.
Compounded.
Right? Absolutely. Make all the mistakes in the first year rather than in year 5.
Yeah.
And everybody says, oh, I don't want to invest in a coach. I don't want to pay for that. I'm like, well, think of the cost that you're incurring later on down the road. Think of what it's costing you not to do it right now, and to learn it later and lose it later and have to regain it.
Yeah.
Right. There's a huge cost to that. And we talk about like scaling Mount Everest. Like, how many people go on YouTube and learn how to scale Mount Everest and then go do it? Or how many people read through a blog on how to climb Mount Everest and then go do it? I don't know anybody who's done that.
Yeah.
Or nobody who's done that and survived. Everybody has hired somebody who's been there and done it.
Wait, you know some people that went and died on Mount Everest?
I'm sure they have.
Yeah. No, you need to hire a Sherpa to.
Yeah, exactly. Because they know.
Yeah. They don't get any credit, though.
They don't.
People always say, I climbed Mount Everest, but I had these 3 dudes carrying all my luggage.
And as a coach, I'm fine with that. Like, I totally said, look, I've been doing this for 20 years. And I'm at the place where I'm at, and I would love to teach somebody how to get there in 3 years or 5 years. And just think how amazing that life will be when you get to the 20-year mark. You will be beyond where I am. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
Right? Why do I want people to be where I am? No, I want people to get beyond where I am. But you got to start now, right? You got to start early.
There's an advantage to starting early for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be your cryptocurrency coach if you want.
Uh-oh, look out.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, feel free to ask me questions offline. I'm huge into cryptocurrency. I think it's the future. As a software engineer, the coding underneath of it is something we have ever yet to have. So it's going to change the world. I don't think it's if, it's when.
I just like money.
It's diversification. It's a good thing.
Next question. What's the biggest problem for humans? What should we do to fix it?
Oh, biggest problem for humans. Wow. Just one?
It's these garbage movies coming out. That's the problem.
There's no masculine Asian males in media. Now, I think, wow, one.
That's the only reason I go to the public gym. It's LVAC here. I go there to flex on other dudes and just be dominant. It doesn't work.
Masculine Asian male. Right point. Put the Vegas sign up.
What up, bro?
Gosh. I mean, I can go at this with so many different ways. Okay, so full transparency. I'm a Christian guy, faith in Jesus, right? God first, all of that. And I can put out there as a blanket statement that we don't, as humans, we don't put God first, right? And we're not following the ways of the Bible. But I think it's so much deeper than that, especially us being in the US, because we are following a very Americanized version of what Christianity is.
White Jesus.
Yeah, to a certain degree, right? And so I had a mentor, and he was really big into global missions. And he was also a surfer. So he loved going around the world and doing missions work and surfing and fishing, right? Those are his big things. And I'm not a big traveler. Yeah, I'm not a big traveler. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And he said something that has stuck with me. He said basically how God moves differently outside of the US. Like inside of the US, we're kind of worshipers of money, really.
Yeah.
Fame and fortune and that whole thing. And money itself is not evil, right? We need it, it is a tool, but it is obviously the worship of money that creates all sort of issues. But in any regards, like the Americanized version of the Christian faith, I think it has some issues. So when you go to another country and you see God doing different things, you realize, wow, we meaning Americans, may not have it right, and we have to be open to that. And what we do about it, I think there are different things, but I think that's where we start. Like, we have to understand that it's not about us. We have to do things for others. I'd like to think that, like, my real estate investment is not all about me and my family. I do want to give a nice place to live for other people. Wealth growth is part of it, but man, like, we're doing the nonprofit. I'm supporting other.
Dude, Erik is literally going and building homes for some of the poorest people he can find.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Wait, are you charging them rent?
No, it's their home.
Oh, okay. All right.
The only thing I
was about to call you a slumlordo in Mexico.
The only thing is they have to own the land, right? They buy the plot of land. We verify that they actually own it, and we can build this house, and it is yours.
Nice.
And that's part of it too, right? You haven't truly given a gift unless you've given something that they cannot return.
Yeah.
Right. So that
you
that's
can't
what we're
ship
doing.
this house back, sucker. No refunds.
And it's yours, right?
Yeah.
We want to bless you with it.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. That's fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Next question. What is your favorite food or dish?
Oh, getting really heavy.
Just one? Oh man, all these singular
really
choices. So a little backstory on this one. So being Japanese, mainly grew up with Japanese food and obviously American food. Very limited palate. My wife.
You mean you only like fish and rice?
And tofu.
Yes.
And noodles and miso. Yeah. But my wife is Korean, right? And when we got married, I was like, oh man, I can't eat kimchi. I can't eat the Korean food.
Yeah.
Not into spicy food. But somewhere along the line, I've just developed the taste, and now I absolutely love Korean food. Just
nice.
Absolutely love it. Almost more than I would say Japanese food and anything else. And so, like, every time we're eating it,
you just lost your rights to the Macross movie. Sorry, Erik.
But you earned Squid Game.
I'll cast a K-drama star in the lead. There you go. And I'll have a BTS soundtrack.
All right, I'm in. I'm sold, you son of a bitch. I'm in.
But no, I mean, every time we eat Korean food, like, oh, I'm so thankful to my wife for introducing me to Korean food.
Nice.
And love it. Like, I'm actually salivating right now as we talk about this.
We did a Korean barbecue at our house the other day. We were like, what are they doing? Grilling up beef? Let's buy a whole shit ton of beef.
And honestly, like, and I love Korean barbecue, don't get me wrong, but there's so much more even outside of that I had no idea.
What's a crazy Korean dish?
Gosh, what is it? There's one that has squid in it. That's one of my favorite.
Oh.
Yeah, bibimbap is really good. That's one of my kids' favorite.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a squid stew. That's amazing. Or sundubu, which is their tofu soup.
Hey, is there a Paris baguette in LA?
Paris baguette. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, there's one in Vegas, and Paris baguette is it's the Starbucks of Korea. Like, if you go to Seoul,
okay.
Every fucking corner is a Paris baguette, so it's hilarious.
So it's probably all in the K-dramas that my wife and I watch.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, last question. Shout out two friends. Two friends you think that should do this conversation.
Shout out two friends.
Who would you love to see?
Do they have to be Asian?
No, it could be anything.
No? Okay, so number one would be Ernesto Astorga, who is the director of Baja Missions.
Ernesto
talks about Baja Missions passionately. One of my good friends. Our wives say that we share the same brain. Like we each have half because we can finish each other's jokes.
Yeah.
So yeah, crazy funny guy, great to work with. Blessed to know him. Yeah, so he's definitely one.
I want to get the secret plans of this house you guys are building.
Let's see, who would be the other one?
You're going to build it for cheaper and make more money?
No, I just want to steal good ideas and make money. Oh, wait, you're right. Shit.
Money.
There's no money to make in this.
It's not a money deal?
No.
What about put wheels on the house and then you don't have to own the land?
Then it'd be a mobile home.
I think you're onto something.
Ernesto's not going to want to interview now.
I need a mobile home with a hot tub so that people will pay more rent for the hot tub.
Yeah, who would be another one? Well, give me some ideas. Like, what are some of your themes that you're looking for? Are they all entrepreneurial or?
I would say if I had to describe my podcast, I think I'm seeking wisdom from people that do a career and have a intuition on many topics from their career. That's kind of at a high level.
Tuition from their career.
We want to dig for the secret knowledge you have that you can share with us, the gems.
The secret sauce.
Yeah. So if anybody wanted to get into, CGI movie editing, hopefully they learned a little bit out of this, right? If somebody wanted to help people in other countries, hopefully they learned a little bit.
Gotcha.
From you.
Gotcha. Or in my case, maybe they don't want to get into VFX. They find out it's not exactly a stable.
If they want to start building wealth for themselves and their families soon, hopefully they learned a little bit. Start early. We got that, right? Mm-hmm. The sooner you can start, the better.
Yeah, that would be good. I wonder. Trying to think of names all of a sudden now.
How about Asian American pillars of the community in LA? We need more females on the show, right? It's we have a skew where men are more likely to come onto a podcast.
Okay.
And women are more reluctant.
Oh shoot! Then you should talk to my wife.
Yeah.
My wife, Linda. She's a pastor at our church as well. She's got great stories. She was born in Korea. Came over here when she was a child.
She could explain the food better.
She would definitely explain the food better. But yeah, she's got the immigrant story where didn't speak English here, had to learn it, made it into college, graduated, thought she wanted to be a teacher, was a teacher for a number of years, and got called into full-time ministry. Runs a great program with our youth. I think it should be a fascinating interview.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, let's do that.
I think it's awesome to hear you guys are out there doing good things and helping people.
Yeah, she's on the team too. She's part of our Baja leadership as well. Actually, you should ask her how she even found about Baja missions. That's her story. You should ask her about that.
You got dragged into it.
Again, I don't know if you are have a faith in who God is and stuff, but she has this faith God story of how we got connected to Baja missions.
Nice.
And it's amazing. So I think you would love to hear it.
Awesome. Do you have a cup to cheers to the end? A cup or a drink?
I don't. You didn't tell me to bring one.
Sorry.
I have an empty.
We'll fist bump it.
My wife has this empty bottle on my desk.
Topo Chico? Zoom is blurring it out.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Interesting. All right. Well, cheers to your empty glass. Thank you, Erik.
No, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
The glass is full.
Really enjoyed meeting you guys. This is great.
Thanks, Erik. I hope to talk to you again.
Yes.
Cheers.
Absolutely. Keep in touch.